Good evening. The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees is now convened in a regular board meeting on Monday, June 17th, in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District at 6 p.m. I'd like to welcome our members of the audience and our online viewers to the meeting of the Board of Trustees. We're here to set goals, listen to reports, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operations or decisions. The management of day-to-day operations of the district responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. Audience members may not participate in the meeting outside of the designated agenda items for citizen participation or agenda comment. Disruption of the meeting by any person, including the audience, is inappropriate and will be addressed by the board's president or the board's counsel as a meeting parliamentarian. Continue to repeat disruption of any board meeting by words or actions may result in a removal. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to tonight's agenda items. They may not be represented by the items listed in the agenda notice. During the course of the meeting, the board may determine a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session for considered matters duly posted for the meeting as permitted by 551.071 through 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on the district website. They're also available on the district website following tonight's meeting. For the meeting to accurately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask you to refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for your time and join us this evening and your interest in Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. Tonight we have John Rosenthal, State Rep. We have Grace Hanley for Representative Oliverson's office. And we have Elizabeth Stinson from Senator Bentoncourt's office. At each open meeting of the board, patrons who have registered in accordance with the procedures established by BED regulation may address the board for designated agenda comments prior to the board's consideration or action on an item. Unless the agenda is otherwise rearranged for the board present during the meeting, agenda comments will be generally taken prior to each agenda item. Also, in accordance with the procedures established by BED regulation, patrons may address the board during citizen participation. Any matters of interest or concern are not posted on agenda items. For detailed information and instructions on registering under agenda comments or citizen participation, please go to the district website. Patrons who have registered to speak this evening will see your names on the order listed on the screen. Before your name is called, please move forward and sit on the reserved seats down front. When you approach the podium, you can see there are two, one to my right and one to my left. You will see the monitor inside the podium. When your time to begin speaking, a digital presentation time will be at the top of the monitor. The time will be set in accordance with the number of speakers this evening. There will be a 30-second and a 15-second warning light to wrap up your comments. The invocation for tonight's meeting will be given by Reverend Joseph Camarlo, Senior Pastor of Life Family Church. Pastor is lovingly called by his church members as a native Houstonian with a die-hard love for Houston sports teams. With an MA in Christian counseling, his studies for the heart of people have led him to counsel many families in the Cypress community throughout the difficult seasons of life. He believes that investing in students in our community through kindness and acts of service produce long-lasting results for future generations. Thank you, Joseph, for being here tonight. At this time, I'd ask you to please stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiances.
Dear loving Father, thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for allowing us to gather tonight. And Lord, we certainly thank you for Willis H. Carrier, the inventor of the air condition. In your sacred writings, you show us the powerful metaphor of casting and mending our nets. We cast our nets for productivity, to receive things that you have put upon the earth and in the earth for us to receive. But you also share with us the principle of mending, the time of preparation, and the time to make sure that we're properly set for maximum efficiency. Therefore, I pray for our superintendent, our school board officials, and I'm asking you that you would graciously grant them the skills and the wisdom to maximize productivity, the strength to do what is right for our district and our precious students and staff, and the grace to mend the nets so that we can be good stewards of what you have entrusted us with. Lastly, I ask that you keep the students, faculty, staff safe at all times and at every occasion. In your name we pray. Amen.
Now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. I honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please be seated. Julie Heineman will now read the district's vision and mission statement.
Our vision at CFISD is formed from the acronym LEAD, to learn, empower, achieve, dream. LEAD. Our mission is to maximize every student's potential through rigorous and relevant learning experiences, preparing students to be 21st century global leaders.
We'll now proceed with the remarks and announcements portion of our agenda. 1A, the superintendent will make remarks and announcements regarding this week's honors, achievements earned by staff and students. Dr. Killian?
Thank you, sir. What an incredible school year we've had this year at CFISD. Please enjoy the 2023-24 recap video highlighting how our students and staff brought out their very best. All right. The class of 2024 graduation ceremonies took place between May 28th and June 1st at the Berry Center. We had a total of 8,873 graduates from our 12 high schools that walked the stage. More than 61,000 guests attended the class of 2024 commencement exercises, along with 68,454 others watching it live streamed on the screens at home. What awesome work by our students, our Student Services Division. Thank you, Deb and her staff. Also, thank you so much to the campus staff for all the preparations and the students, the great accomplishments, along with some wonderful speeches that we heard over the course of those 12 nights or 12 days. In addition to earning their high school diplomas, 765 seniors from the 12 high schools also graduated with their associate's degrees from Lone Star College, Cypress-Fairbanks. Quite an incredible achievement. And also Linda, thank you. Linda, thank you to your staff and also for spearheading that cooperative agreement with Lone Star. They are great partners and we couldn't have done it without you guys. Please enjoy this brief recap video of our graduation ceremonies.
It's really wonderful. I mean, I've been in this district my whole life. I've been at 5 different schools throughout my time here, and it's so awesome. Every single school that I've been to, it's been a sense of home and a different kind of community, and graduating with my associates is such an honor because I'm the first generation college graduate, and I just get to see all of my accomplishments culminate into one big day.
I just think that graduation is a culmination of all these students' work, and I just want to congratulate them and make sure that they know how important and how great this day is. And I just love graduation. It's a special day for me.
That was fun. It really was fun. CFISD Human Resources Department will hold a paraprofessional and support staff job fair tomorrow, June 18th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Cypress Falls High School. We will be hiring for several positions, including paras, community programs, maintenance, operations, nutrition services, transportation, and CFPD. On-site interviews and application assistance will be available. Visit the district website at cfisd.net for more information. Summer hours. CFISD schools and facilities will operate under different hours throughout the June and July. The district will open Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and be closed on Fridays. This week, with Wednesday being a holiday, we are open Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday from 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. During the week of July 4th through the 8th, schools and facilities will be closed on Thursday, July 4th, and operate under normal hours, 7:30 to 4:30, Monday through Wednesday and Friday. Also mentioned, I need to mention that the district will be closed Thursday, July 4th, in observance of Independence Day. The remainder of that reminder that the fireworks are prohibited on district property, and CFISD Police Department will patrol the district's premises during the holidays. Citizens who observe such violations are requested to contact the Cy-Fair Police Department dispatcher at 832-237-2373. Also, just real quick, wanted to thank our operations and police staff for their work and following the storm. In addition to that, also thank our Harris County Sheriff's deputies, the precinct constables, and the Cy-Fair Fire Department, along with Centerpoint, for their work all around our area as they tirelessly work to bring our campuses back up and our community back up. We really did appreciate that. And with that, we recently named 3 new principals, so I will turn it over to Christina Cole for those announcements. Christina?
Thank you, Dr. Killian, President Henry, and Board of Trustees. I always appreciate this opportunity to formally introduce our new principals to you, but also our Cy-Fair community. So our first principal that I'd like to introduce to you today is Tracy Barstow. She's our new principal at Postma Elementary. Tracy brings 24 years of experience in education, all right here in Cy-Fair ISD. Tracy's career began as a teacher at Bang Elementary and Sampson Elementary, where she spent 9 years serving as a special education liaison and a testing coordinator. She then became a math coach at Hemingway Elementary for 1 year before being promoted to the position of math and science instructional specialist at Franconia Elementary, a role she held for 4 years. Tracy then spent 6 years as the assistant principal at Bang Elementary, and for the past 4 years, she has served as the assistant principal at Postma Elementary. Tracy earned her bachelor's in science degree from Sam Houston University and her master's of education degree from Stephen F. Austin University. Throughout her career, Tracy has actively pursued professional development, becoming a quantum learning facilitator, and completing the Aspiring Principal Institute. Her extensive experience and dedication to education make her a valuable asset to the Postma Elementary community. Tracy and her husband, Michael, who is an assistant principal at Arnold Middle School, have 2 children. Her son, Marshall, graduated from Bridgeland High School and will be a junior at Texas State. Her daughter, Allison, is also a graduate from Bridgeland High School and will be attending Texas State as a freshman in the fall. And I think, are you studying education? Psychology, okay, close. Both of Tracy's children attended the Early Learning Center on Jack Rabbit Road starting at the age of 3 months and continued on through Cy-Fair ISD schools. In Tracy's spare time, she enjoys road trips and listening to music, and she's excited to see what the future holds regarding free time, since she will soon be an empty nester. Please join me in congratulating Tracy Barstow on her new leadership opportunity.
Thank you, Mrs. Cole. And Dr. Killian, President Henry, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent's Cabinet. Just thank you for the opportunity to serve as the principal at Postma Elementary. Working at Postma the last 4 years, I've been a part of an amazing culture and have gotten to see firsthand what it's like every day when teachers show up for kids and are champions for kids. The staff at Postma, they don't only want kids to have fun at school, they want them to love being there. And it's very important to them that their kids are successful. So I'm humbled to continue the work that still needs to be done there. A few people just to introduce, Ms. Cole mentioned my husband, Mike, who has always been my supporter and just cheerleader the whole way. He always says, if you're ready, I'm ready, let's go. And I'm proud he gets to serve the community at Arnold as well. And of course, Marshall and Allison, who you can imagine what life is like when most of your school life, your parents are either one of them or both of them have been an assistant principal. So, but they continue to make us proud every day. Also here tonight are my parents, Elmer and Sheila Reed from Livingston, Texas. And the only thing that they're prouder of or love more than their 4 kids are their 13 grandkids and their 6 great-grandkids. And if you ask them, they'll tell you about that. So. And then, of course, my mother and father-in-law are here as well. Caroline is a retiree from CFISD at Cook Middle School, where the year she retired is the same year Mike started teaching, and he started teaching in that same classroom. So everything went full circle for them. So I started as a student teacher at Hancock, and throughout my experiences, so many people poured into me, so many mentors and colleagues. And tonight, just to name a few that are here, Yvette Garcia, hired me as an instructional specialist at Francone. Barbara Lewandowski, who hired me when I was a baby special ed teacher. And she coached me right up into so many different programs and helped me grow as a leader as well. And then watching from home is Erwan Wilson. She chose me as an assistant principal at Bang. And just gave me so many skills that I've been able to use in every part of my life. And then, of course, Terry Bell, who she and I started off teaching quantum learning classes together. And we always had this dream that we were going to work at this school together. And lo and behold, she had an opening as an AP, and I applied, and the staff chose me at Postma. And so all of these people have just poured into me. I'm so lucky to have had their mentorship, but mostly their friendship. I value and cherish that. I have to stop and also recognize the Postma staff that came tonight. Thank you, guys. You know, this is summer, and they're here at a board meeting. So I love them. That's just one more way that they show up for not only students, but their team. And it's evident in everything that they do. Thank you guys so much for being here. You know, I didn't graduate from a Cyfair school, but I like to say I got here just as soon as I could. I'm really fortunate to be here to not only work in a district, but to raise my children and my family in a district that believes in opportunities for students and staff. So I thank you for this opportunity, and I know I will not let you down. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Our next principal we would like to introduce is the new principal at Cypress Park High School, Dr. Michael Contreras. Will you please come up? Mike brings a wealth of experience to his new role, having spent 29 years in education with 10 of those years in CFISD. He also got here as quickly as he could. Mike began his career in San Antonio area, teaching at the elementary level in San Angelo ISD for 4 years, and at the middle school level in Northeast ISD for 8 years, during which he also was an instructional math coach. His administrative experience includes serving as an elementary assistant principal in San Angelo ISD, and then a middle school assistant principal in Judson ISD. Mike moved to Cypress-Fairbanks ISD in 2015 and was hired at Cypress Creek High School as an assistant principal, then quickly transitioned to the director of instruction. In 2020, Mike was named the principal of Libi Middle School, which is his current position. He is well respected by the Libi community for his student-centered approach and commitment to achieving high standards. Mike received his Bachelor's of Science degree and his Master's in Educational Leadership from Angelo State University. His interest in educational leadership led him to earn his doctorates in K-12 professional leadership from the University of Houston. He continues to actively engage in professional development, having attended Leadership Partners through the Rice Business School for Executive Education and NASP National Mentor Certification. Mike and his husband, Dr. Hubrick, a professor at the University of Houston, have 2 children. Daughter Elizabeth, who is a 2024 graduate from Bridgeland High School, will be attending the University of Texas in San Antonio in the fall, and son Anthony, who will be in 7th grade at Salyards Middle School next year.
An education major.
And an education major, she says. When Mike is not in work, he enjoys running and spending time with his family. He's a first-generation college graduate and works hard to influence others to achieve their aspirations. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Mike Contreras on his new role as the Cy Park principal.
Good evening. Dr. Killian, Board of Trustees, I just want to take this opportunity to share with you that I'm truly humbled, honored, and grateful to serve as the next principal of Cy Park High School. Being the second principal of Cy Park High School comes with a lot of responsibility, but also a lot of opportunity. And so I'm extremely humbled, grateful, and appreciative for this. I would not be standing here today if it wasn't for the never-ending support of my husband, Kevin, and our 2 amazing blessings, Elizabeth and Anthony. Anthony wanted to be sure his name was mentioned. Got it, buddy. Kevin, thank you for being our rock and for always believing in me. Elizabeth and Anthony, your dad and I are so proud of you. Of all the titles I've ever had, being called dad is the one I treasure the most, and we love you. One of my colleagues recently was named principal of a middle school, and he thanked the dream team of Cy Creek High School. And today, I'd like to echo his words. While I learned so much in my roles at Cy Creek, I gained friends who have been my biggest cheerleaders. Vicky, you told me multiple times your time will come. I trusted your words, and I will forever value you as a leader, a mentor, and most importantly, a friend. I'd also like to take just a few minutes to thank Ms. Sue McGowan, who has served as my coach for the past couple of years. Your insight, Ms. McGowan, your example, and your prayers are greatly appreciated. Thank you for your words of wisdom. They have served as a constant lighthouse in my journey. And now, Libai, some of them are here. You taught me how to principal. You accepted and welcomed me with open arms. We developed a team during the crazy days of COVID, and we grew tremendously. You've supported our ideas. You've demonstrated the value of being open. You aspire to do what's best for students and each other. And above all, you are resilient. I'm so proud of you. I love you. You are friends who have become family. This is not goodbye. You have my cell phone. And as always, I'm a text away. And now Cy Park, what an amazing blessing to join the team. Together, we'll build on the foundation you've established with Chris. Thank you for the warm welcome, and while our work will come with challenges and celebrations, we will do it together. To our Cy Park Tigers, parents, and students, we commit to providing opportunities for all. We will do for our students what we would want done for our own children. Rise up, Cy Park. We got this. Thank you.
Good evening, President Hendry, board members, and Dr. Killian. After, I believe, 26 years of the Brodigan Center having the same leader, Martha Struthers, I am honored to introduce our new principal director for the Brodigan Center, Mr. Craig Pliskin. Craig has over 17 years of experience in education. He began his career as a teacher at Kayla Middle School in 2007, where he also served as a student teacher. In 2012, he served as the Dean of Students at Westside High School in HISD, a program that has similarities to the Brodigan Center. Craig then returned to CFISD in 2020 as an assistant principal at Watkins Middle School and most currently at Cypress Park High School. Craig obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree from Washington University in St. Louis, a Master of Arts degree in counseling from UT Tyler, and an MBA from Rice University, where he was also a Jones Scholar. He also served as an AP mentor for new assistant principals in our district. Craig and his wife, Courtney, a math teacher, have been married for almost 9 years. July is his anniversary, so almost 9 years. And they have a precious 6-year-old daughter who I just met this evening, Carson. Courtney and Craig actually met while they were both coaching at Kayla Middle School. In addition to spending time with his family, Craig enjoys golfing every weekend. He is also a Philadelphia sports fan, go Eagles, and he'll introduce a few more Eagles fans in just a moment. Craig shared that, actually not just Craig, but his references that we talked to and Craig both shared that if we had said, Craig, pick your school. Out of the 90-plus schools, pick the school where you want to be a principal. And he said he would have chosen the Broadham Center, hands down. He has that same passion that Ms. Struthers has for supporting and guiding students to graduation and beyond. And we're excited to see the next chapter and be a part of it for the Broadham Center. Please help me congratulate Mr. Craig Blinskin.
Thank you, Dr. Macias, for that introduction, and the board, and Dr. Killian, I appreciate you letting me be up here. A lot of times in education, we talk about it takes a village, and we hear that all the time. And usually we're referring to students, but in my case, we're actually talking about my career, where I am today, and I want to introduce you to some of my village because I'm fortunate enough to have 3 of my past principals in this room right now. But first, I want to introduce my daughter, wife, if you guys will stand up for me. If I got to stand up here, you got to stand up too. My mom is recording me. She flew in from Philadelphia for this. My sister's here. And my in-laws are next to them. You got to get up too. I don't care. It doesn't matter. My mother-in-law is a career teacher in Klein ISD. Thank you, guys. One of the, my in-laws will, take my daughter so I can go golf on the weekend. It's wonderful having them close by. And then my second blood relatives family are right behind. So the Lozanos and their family, my daughter's 6. She's been here 5 times because if you're friends with the Lozanos, you come to this room a lot of times for recognition. So it's Dr. Lozano is my principal at Watkins. His wife Carmen's a principal at Andre. And then if everybody else down the line will get up, my Houston non-blood relatives, Jason, Stephanie, Shanika, Pete, and Elvis, if you guys will stand up and be recognized also. And Mike made reference to where he learned to be the principal at Libi, but I learned leadership over at Westside and HISD. So I have 4 of my coworkers here, including my past principal, Peggy Stewart. So if you guys will stand up too and let everybody give you a round of applause. And I like how Cy Park took the neutral, like they had the Mike's row, they had my row, and they went out to the side where no one could say, oh, wait, you're with him. We know why you're here. It's okay. We know you're here to sit. We got you. And then finally, to my Brodigan family who's back here, I'm looking forward to the opportunities to build on and grow. If you're a leader in CFISD, I'll be coming to a meeting near you, high school people, to grow Brodigan and tout it and let you know what it is that they can do and we can do together to build it and grow. So Brodigan, you guys get it too. Come on, stand up for us. And I just want to close on a personal note that it's a little intimidating being the only principal that is responsible for curriculum or has to answer to curriculum and instruction because everybody else is under Christina and I'm by myself and then I have to follow Martha with 20-something years of experience and pressure makes diamonds, so that's what I'm hoping for. So I appreciate your time and letting me recognize everybody and I look forward to the opportunities at Brodigan.
We'll now proceed with the recognitions portion of the agenda. I'm going to hand this over to Justin so myself and Christine come back we go down front?
Okay. Everybody hear me? Okay, great. So these are the recipients for Bringing Out the Best June of 2024. Our first recipient is Mike Staten, building foreman at the Mark Henry building and VPAC. Most people in life want to be the first at everything, and Michael Staten comes close. As the building foreman, Mike is always the first to show up, the first to lend a helping hand, the first to remember what somebody forgot, and always the first to solve a problem and suggest improvements. Mike is also always last. He's last to complain, the last to say I can't, and the last to expect applause for a well job done. Mike is greatly appreciated for his hard work, kind and patient demeanor, his craftsmanship and knowledge in making things function properly, and for taking the time to make each of us feel like we are his top priority. Mike, congratulations. Thank you very much, sir. Our next recipient, Lady Lindsay, teacher, Bridgeland High School. Miss Lindsay works with adults. There she is. Ms. Lindsay works with adults with disabilities. These life skills students face additional challenges with employment, daily living skills, communication, and are at greater risk for abuse. Ms. Lindsay builds confidence and competence in her students and uses her own time to build community alliances that give students employment opportunities. She's a great representation of Bridgeland High School and CFISD as a whole. Thank you very much, Ms. Lindsay. Our third recipient of the Bringing Out the Best Award is Scotty Stevens, Supervisor, Customer Care Center. From the moment Scotty assumed the role of Customer Care Supervisor, there he is. From the moment Scotty assumed the role of Customer Care Supervisor, he has dedicated himself to ensuring that CFISD customers receive nothing short of the best guidance and support for the district's technology, hardware, and software. His approach is characterized by a profound understanding of the diverse needs of the district. Scotty diligently works to provide all customers with the highest level of assistance and information, ensuring that no question goes unanswered and no issue unresolved. His attention to detail, his commitment to excellence, and his deep understanding of excellent customer service is beyond compare. His tireless efforts ensure that the operations run smoothly, customers are satisfied, and CFISD continues to thrive. Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Justin. We'll now proceed with board comments. Board members may make comments during a portion of the agenda regarding schools visit, meetings, conferences attended, district and community events, initiatives, or continuing education. The board may not take any actions on items to be discussed. We'll start to my left. We'll start with Natalie. Would you like to go first? We'll move on down the left line.
Thank you, President Henry. First of all, good evening. Thank you to everyone for your interest in the education of our most precious resource, our children. I appreciate the passion and hard work of everyone who fights for their convictions in the arena of public education. Since we last met, we've had both a Mother's Day and a Father's Day. So happy Father's Day since it's most recent to those who are fathers. Family is everything, and we celebrate those who are their students' first teachers and ultimate decision makers. On May 16th, we had a tornado wiped through a large swath of our school district and impacted many families and our district. And I'm thankful to God that there was no loss of life in our area. And I'm praying for the people as they recover from their damages. I applaud Dr. Killian, Matt Morgan, and the entire CFISD team did an incredible job of making sure that we are whole and that kids could start school. I mentioned, yes. That was really great. We appreciate the good work. The graduations were a really wonderful celebration. Seeing all the photos just reminded me of what an incredible effort it took. Dr. Stewart Ifeagunwake and their team, and Beth Wade and the Berry Center team, thank you for truly making these honoring ceremonies for our hardworking graduates and their guests. Also the high school teams, registrars, that's a hard job. Counselors, teachers, principals, I understand the incredible push it takes to get 8,873 graduates across the stage, 17 and 18-year-olds. Well done. I also appreciate the Cypher organization. They have their spring luncheon, and what an incredible spirit of service and care for each other in that group. I appreciate that their community and the way they serve our school district and our systems. And if anyone's a retiree, I would say look to them because it's much more than an organization. It definitely is a place for people to find a way to plug in. I'm very eager to look at the data from our graduations. We have a graduate survey that goes out to students to see how well we're doing to prepare our students, not only for the finish line of graduation, which is a huge milestone, but also launching them into career, college, and military with a plan and preparation to continue their journey. Should always be the question we have: do we do enough, and what else can we do? To this point, when we teach our children, ideas like uncontrolled human population growth can deplete resources, just as if population implosion would be just as dangerous to a society, a culture, a government, and the world. It's important that we make sure that we look at what do we know and what is the evidence before us. If we were to take all the voices in science, all the peer-reviewed articles, all the professional journals, what would you guess would come out of that? We would make sure that we saw a balanced view. Education is supposed to be about providing the very best up-to-date and factual information to our students, and make sure that the students are able to make decisions and be critical thinkers. That is what builds our students. We are hoping our job should always be to make sure we build hope in our students, because schools should be factories of hope. And that is why I fight and give my time to serve the students of the district. The questions I'm faced with as a trustee, I do care much more about. Any pressure is not it. I'm here to make sure that we take care of our students and we build the trust with their parents as shareholders in the school district. And I'm not, that's why they call us trustees, because we are entrusted to properly steward the preparation of our children to lead healthy families, to be healthy members of society, to be healthy leaders to following generations. So that is why I look to this survey of our seniors to see how have we done, what else can we do, and how can we make sure that we serve them in the best way. As it stands, last year, coming out of COVID and all the challenges, we didn't end up as an A-rated district if we were to be rated. And so I'm very eager to get a look at our data from this year. It looks like across the state there have been some challenges, especially in the math area. But we are very excited for us to get back at this dais to looking at the data to understand student outcomes, to see what else can be done to make sure every child in reading and math is able to achieve at the very highest level, so that we can indeed build their hope and make sure they're prepared. I want to say that I appreciate the leadership of Dr. Killian as he's joined our team, his incredible leadership team up there. Each one is a truly hardworking professional, very smart, top of their game, and I appreciate all that they do, and I look forward to the continued work and the continued efforts and the continued fight together to make sure that we hit each hurdle and make sure every student comes out successful. Thank you so much.
My apologies, I forgot to take a quick break for the guests in the audience. I do apologize for that. So I'm going to take privilege to do that now. If you'd like to take pictures with our distinguished guests, you may. So we'll take about 5 minutes and we'll continue back in then. Thank you. Board members, please take your seats. Lucas. Lucas. We'll now proceed to continue on with board comments. 3A. Christine Kalmbach, you may go next. Thank you.
Good evening, Cy-Fair elected officials and community. I wanted to say thank you to all of our families, students, teachers, administration, and staff for making May a great month in Cy-Fair. I was so blessed to attend the art at the VPAC in May. It was so impressive once again to see the creativity of our students, and I thank the teachers who encourage their students to challenge themselves and make their visions a reality. Thank you to the parents and loved ones who encouraged them and visited as well. I was honored to attend Lambkin Elementary's year-end New Arrival Center celebration. The students did an excellent job hosting and guiding us through the evening as each student was recognized for their work they put in this year to learn English. Thank you to Principal Brister and her amazing staff for teaching these students a new language. I was also thrilled to attend 10 of the high school graduations for Lakes, Ranch, Ridge, Springs, Woods, Jersey Village, Bridgeland, Langham Creek, Cy-Fair, and Cy Creek. It was awesome to see the spirit of each school and how they made their graduations unique and special. I want to thank Dr. Macias for encouraging our students and CTE and doing those things that help them to graduate and to get on the path that they're interested in. And also making every graduation smooth. I want to thank Dr. Stewart and her team. It was just amazing. Felt very loved and appreciated and very well taken care of. I also had the joy to attend the Cy-Fair Retirees Luncheon in May. It was a Mexican fiesta focus, and it was a lot of fun, and it was great to meet so many retirees. Come back and teach in the district as a sub or be a global volunteer and a mentor. We need you and we love you. I also wanted to recognize that May had Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, those like a mom and those still waiting to be moms and those who've suffered a loss. We also recognize Peace Officers Memorial Day and Memorial Day, remembering those who keep us safe that have paid the price of freedom and protection with their very lives for us. John 15:13. Thank you to every family who has made that sacrifice along with them. When a person serves, their family serves, so thank you. I also wanted to recognize Flag Day, the adoption of the first flag in 1777 by the Continental Congress. And happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, those like a dad and those who are waiting to be dads and those who've suffered a loss. Never underestimate the importance of moms and dads in our lives and those also who stand in the gap for them. I also want to recognize the celebration of Juneteenth, which commemorates the end of slavery in the USA when federal troops arrived in Galveston in 1865. And I want to wish everybody in advance for a happy Independence Day since the board will not be meeting in July. God bless America. I also wanted to notate I had made an error on the PASA presentation on demographics and wanted to correct that. I had said it looked like there was about an estimate of 35,000 students based on growth anticipated in the 10-year period with the bond that was proposed in 2014. I was looking at the total in enrollment, which was projected at 131,000 students, and we ended up with 118,000. Those numbers did adjust as PASA continues to work with our district, so I did want to correct that error. Thank you to Dr. Macias and her team for working on the curriculum this summer to make sure our students receive all of their lessons with the TEKS included. I also want to thank Dr. Killian, CFO Karen Smith, the cabinet, the staff, and the community volunteers who've worked on our budget this spring. It has been a very difficult and arduous process due to the fact that we've had budget cuts and we are not able to meet everyone's requests and/or needs. This is a heavy burden for all of us. We wish we could meet it all. We continue to address school finance with our elected officials locally and statewide, and I'm proud that this spring we passed the District of Innovation to help meet the needs of our district by establishing more local control over our calendar and the district's ability to hire teachers. And as I've had a number of teachers tell me, don't always listen to sound bites and slanted articles. I hope that as a community, we keep our focus on teachers and students in the district and doing what we can to support them to improve student outcomes and improve student gaps in our core subjects. Thank you to all of the teachers in our district. You are very important to us. And I do want to wrap up by saying we always want to continue to encourage our Cypress businesses, our faith groups, our nonprofits, and our community to support our school district with business advertising, global volunteers, and mentoring. Each of us can continue to make a big difference in Cy-Fair if we work together.
Julie.
Since the last board meeting, I attended the final student art exhibit for the year at the VPAC, attended retirement celebration at Spillane Middle School, and enjoyed Career Day at Matsky Elementary. My oldest daughter and I also volunteered at Wilburn Elementary for their book fair, and I attended the Side Creek High School Wall of Honor ceremony. I was able to cheer for students at Cy Ridge High School who won prizes as part of their PBS program, and to celebrate the new Arrival Center students at Thornton Middle School, Arnold Middle School, Watkins Middle School, and Lampkin Middle School, or Lampkin Elementary. Sorry about that. One of my favorite events is Camp Courage, that's held at Cy Falls High School, brings together student athletes, cheerleaders, and students with special needs for a fun evening of playing together, celebrating each other, and building connections. Thank you to all the CFISD coaches who support and make this very special event happen each year. I was very proud to attend the Brodingham Spring Celebration of Success. I'm very proud of the graduates from this program who have overcome incredible challenges to accomplish their goals and to earn their high school diplomas. The Carlton Center graduation is one of my favorites, and it was the biggest class ever this year. It's such a joy to celebrate with students, their families, and the staff who work so hard for them. I enjoyed the CFISD All-District Jazz Band and All-District Mariachi Band concerts at the VPAC a week ago. The VPAC was packed with families and community members who were enjoying the incredible talents of our student musicians from across the district. I attended all 12 high school graduations. This truly is the goal, providing educational opportunities so that students graduate ready for their next journey, whether it's college, the military, joining the workforce, or some combination. It is an honor to be present, to watch each student cross the stage, and to see and hear the pride expressed by their families. With great power comes great responsibility. Whether you believe that that quote is by Voltaire or Spider-Man's uncle, most of us have heard it before. Some members of this board seem to have reinterpreted this quote to be, with great responsibility comes great power, and don't you forget it. A longtime teacher stood before this board last Thursday and was made to acknowledge over and over that this board holds power over her and curriculum and everything in CFISD. And this made me think about the differences between power and responsibility, between control and collaboration, between self-serving decision-making and servant leadership. Yes, this board has ultimate responsibility, but our community assumes and expects that the board will make informed, not misinformed or uninformed decisions. Yes, this board has ultimate authority per EFA local. Also per EFA local, the board shall rely on district staff to select and acquire instructional materials that meet specific indicators. Both can be true at the same time. One of the indicators per EFA local is instructional materials will present various sides of controversial issues so that students have the opportunity to develop, under guidance, skills in critical analysis and in making informed judgments in their daily lives. It doesn't say that if one board member feels that a topic is controversial, it should be censored and removed from the curriculum. To my fellow board members, it's okay to reverse a vote or change your minds based upon factual information. That shows strength, not weakness. It shows critical thinking, not groupthink. It demonstrates good governance. Another saying is that actions speak louder than words. Words spoken from this dais last week were, I believe in a 100% transparency, and I appreciate teachers. Actions from this dais include censoring chapters from science textbooks based upon personal beliefs and disregarding teacher input, and a motion made after community input was allowed. Also revising the library materials policy in a way that adds bureaucracy and decreases transparency. This board has set a precedent for disregarding the input provided by committees made up of parents, students, teachers, and community members. This goes to the concept of trust. Trust and respect are earned. Earning trust takes time and energy and intentionality. As board members, I ask, are we each individually and as a whole building trust with our community through our actions? And if not, what can we do differently? I suggest more listening, more relationship building, and less drastic policy changes. Thank you.
Justin?
Okay, great. So a couple of things. I've got 2 comments this evening. First and foremost, graduation. I was honored and privileged to attend and participate in 12 high school graduations. And when you do that and you tell people, yeah, I participated in 12 high school graduations, they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But no, it's extremely exciting. It's thoroughly engaging, and the excitement and energy is contagious. And so I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of each one. It was amazing to see all the students, all the achievements they made. The amount of students who actually got their associate's degree through Lone Star College is absolutely amazing. The fact that they're going to be entering into their college careers with such a head start is a true testament to them, their parents, their teachers, and the district. I want to congratulate all the students, the teachers, the administrators, the parents for such a dynamic week in Cy-Fair ISD. The other topic I want to talk about is actually a topic of policy that is a bit of an ongoing concern. I know this district has addressed it. I know that will continue to address it. I know it's an issue nationally. And it came from campus visits. One of the best things we do as trustees is as we go on campus visits, that's where you get a lot of really important information and a lot of direction on how best to direct your district. And talking with one of the principals, she and some of her APs were all just chit-chatting, and she said, can you guess what our number one struggle at our school is? And we went over a couple of different topics. She said vaping. Vaping is our number one issue. It's not just an annoyance. It's not just something that they're struggling with. It is their number one issue they're dealing with on their campus. So this continues to be a school safety issue, a health issue. I would like for CFISD to continue to be pioneers in this. You know, this is much more than, kids just sneaking a Marlboro Red and a Trans Am in a parking lot, right? This is a serious health issue. It's having a dramatic impact, especially with the presence of THC and who knows what else. Julie and I actually kicked the tires on some ideas of, things that we could do to prevent vaping, to discourage vaping. I'd like to encourage CFISD to continue to investigate technology that can prevent and discourage vaping use on our campuses. Perhaps we can investigate some pilot programs. This could be something good for the Academic Vision and Safety Committee to review this fall. But we need to stay focused on this as an important issue and an issue that we need to tackle as a district and as a nation. So those are my 2 comments. Thank you for your time.
Lucas.
Thank you. I'll keep my comments brief tonight. So first, for all of those that participated in the budget process, thank you to the entire team. It's been a very long road that we started once we started with the new year. We've engaged within our community in our budget review and our prioritization. Our process has taken months to conclude with the goal of working within our constraints to achieve and progress towards our goals of a balanced budget and meeting our learning outcomes. Thank you to the Finance and Operations Subcommittee. So I am on that committee alongside Julie and Justin. And we have worked with Matt and with Karen and with her team, as well as Dr. Killian. And our goal in that discussion is to make sure that we hear the suggestions or recommendations as they come to the board, and we provide feedback and what our thoughts are on the questions that they might receive from the board, and help them prepare for a review with the entire board. That said, the community spent hours and hours and hours and hours working through what are the key inputs, what are the priorities, and so we listened, and so you've heard all of that evidence as we've gone forward. Tonight, we're going to be taking steps to steward our assets and our financial operations. No one likes trimming the budget. No one likes the fact that we need to trim our bus routes. That's not an outcome that anybody desires. Believe me, I don't like it either. However, we've got to meet our financial obligations, and we have to work within the constraints set for us by our state. So that said, tonight we're going to be concluding with our vote on the budget to make sure that we're taking that step forward towards a balanced budget while meeting our objectives of making our students the best they can be and giving them strong learning outcomes. Regarding visits, so obviously graduations, and as Justin mentioned, it's fun to listen to the parents celebrate with their students as their children walk the floor. It's always amazing. I was not able to conduct my visits because they occurred, or they were scheduled to occur after the what ended up being the DeSoto storm and tornadoes. I was able to catch up with a couple of schools and reschedule. So one of those was spending time with Dr. Lloyd Turner over at Cy Woods, and that was a great visit where I got to know him a little bit better, as well as some of the elements of his school. And then I went down to Cy Park. And so one of the things that I hope to do this coming year is spend more time floating up for the entire community some of the stories of the great things that Cy-Fair ISD does. One of those stories is out at Cy Park. So in my background as a musician, I spent a lot of time in drum lines. So I understand that space very, very, very well. Our students at Cy Park, specifically the drum line, went to go compete at a national competition this past spring in Dayton, or Canton, I think. In that competition, they're competing at the highest level. For those students, it was a moment where they're seeing the best of the best across the nation. They're in the same competitive rank as schools that have been there for 20 years. And I spent time asking questions of the students. I met the band director, I met the percussion instructor, and I had a chance to sit and quiz the students, and it was awesome. And so I asked the students a few key questions over and over. I would go, around the room, student, what's your name? And then I would ask them, what was one of your favorite memories? And they all mentioned the feeling that they had when they performed. And then I asked them, what was truly special about that for you? And they said, the most common answer, and I asked 15 kids, it was being with my friends, being with my student colleagues, playing with my team. And then I asked them another question, did you have any doubt that you're going to have a great show? Every one of them said no. We had zero doubt that we were going to play a perfect show. And my comment to them was, that's because of your instructor. It's also because you guys put in the work. And I let the students know that their instructor was very special, and the program that they had was very special. And the look in those children's eyes as they thought about their program and what that specific team meant for them in this current school year, it's something precious, and it changed their lives. And then as I got to know the instructor, turns out he's a young single man who happens to room with and share an apartment with the percussion director at Bridgeland High School. And so those guys not only share notes, but they're both of those campuses, Bridgeland High School and Cy Park High School, those drum lines meet each other and they share notes and they look at best practices one to another. And you think about the dynamics going on there of how they share information and they inspire one another. And it's truly jaw-dropping. And that's one of the things I love about Cy-Fair. So that story is an element where it's teachers in the day-to-day grind, not only getting it done, but inspiring kids to dream bigger and do new things. And I hope that we will, in this coming year, continue to share more of those stories to make sure that our community is aware of them and share best practices across schools. Thank you to all the people that have participated in our library committee. It's been a long process. Tonight we'll be also voting on that. And congrats to all of our graduates. Congrats to all of our fathers. And thank you. That's it.
Todd?
First, I want to start with the school visits. Unfortunately, Mother Nature got in the way of my school visit at Cy Ranch and Pope Elementary School. Want to let those folks know, and obviously maybe admin to schedule me first semester for those two schools first to visit. I thought it was more appropriate to worry about getting power back on at the schools and being focused on that, so that our kids could finish up on a high note. I wanted to also thank Dr. Killian for his leadership during that time. I know there were some tough decisions that need to be made, and for the first few months of your tenure here, I think you've handled things phenomenally. So, and Matt, you and your team, kudos to you guys. I know they were out working late and working early every single day, and I just really appreciate the time and effort that you guys put in. In addition to that, during the graduations at the Berry Center, Dr. Killian told me during actually let me I skipped a part. I was able to attend with one of my colleagues the Broadingham Center graduations. That was a treat. Also got to meet the namesake of that school. Enjoyed hearing the stories and hearing some of the comments from the students and the staff as well. Very inspiring, and some of these kids were in danger of not actually finishing their high school careers. And I just want to let everybody know the staff is so supportive and shows so much love and so much kindness to those kids and encourages them to finish up. And so I just was very, very floored, and you just realize how special the Broadingham Center is. In addition to that, I got a personal invite from my visit when I was at the Carlton Center from Dennis Watkins. Dennis invited my wife and I to the graduation at the Carlton Center. I tell you, it was very tough. One of the toughest things, as at least for me, is to see my wife kind of welling up with tears and not get emotional. That graduation had an impact on myself and my wife, and I just want to tell Dennis Watkins that he's doing an incredible job, and I can't commend him more for the good work that those folks are doing out there and his staff. In addition to that, I was able to attend 10 high school graduations, and just seeing some of these kids. This was probably the first year. I for those that don't know me, I did a lot of coaching in the youth baseball, and this was the first time these kids are seniors. My first round of kids that I was able to coach, and to be able to shake their hand as they're crossing the stage, it was a treat, an unexpected treat. If you had asked me a few years ago if I was going to be doing this, I wouldn't know how to answer that. But I tell you, the people and the staff were so friendly, so kind. I wanted to also give props to Michelle Spees, Dr. Ife Ogamike. Did I pronounce that correctly? And Dr. Stewart, thank you so much for the time and energy and effort that you guys put into that. And also Beth and her staff at the Berry Center. Man, I tell you, the talent that they have and how smooth things ran, I was very impressed with the professionalism. So thank you. But out of the 10 high schools that, I guess maybe you're not supposed to have a favorite, but I got to tell you, the Cy Lakes one, that kind of hit home. And I think we saw a clip of Mr. Wells and that ending speech that he had. It was a great finish. And I couldn't think of a better send-off for the graduates of Cy Lakes High School. That we are Sparta. That was, I was moved by that. I got goosebumps. It's pretty awesome. So, to the high school graduates, to the families, to the staff, it took everyone's effort to get these kids across the finish line, and I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate every one of the staff members and people that helped make this happen. It is certainly a team effort to do so. And last, one of the graduations, I was asked to be a board representative at the Cy-Fair baseball game. So I went down to, I guess, where the Space Cowboys play, and caught the game for Cy-Fair High School. They were playing Pearland High School. They won that game, but unfortunately lost the series. But kudos to the Cy-Fair High School coaching staff and the players, I mean, they had quite an effort, and they can hang their hat on a great season. I also want to recognize Bridgeland High School. They lost to the eventual state champions, the Tomball High School. And just so if folks aren't in the know, there's a little bit of a competition between Dallas and Houston. It extends well beyond, back in the Oiler days and Cowboy days. There's a lot of trash talk on some of these baseball groups that we have, and they were talking a lot of trash as far as Dallas being better than Houston. And I will say this, just to kind of give kudos to the greater Houston area. We had a Pearland versus Tomball state championship, and Tomball eventually again won that as well. So just that's a neighboring district. Wanted to give kudos to the Tomball High School and those folks as well. So and that concludes my comments for the night.
Congratulations again to Ms. Lindsay from Bridgeland High School, Mr. Stanton, and Mr. Stevens for winning our board awards. We will pick those back up at the beginning of next year. Also, congratulations to our 3 new principals. It's such a great feat, and we look forward to working with you in the future. We've been hearing lots of reflections on our graduation ceremonies, and it is truly the highlight of the year for many of us. It's a ceremony, it's a beautiful combination of all the years of hard work, dedication, and perseverance of our students. One of the most inspiring moments at the event was a speech delivered by one of the students. I'd like to kind of talk a little about that briefly. The words of importance of leaving the mark deeply resonated on everyone present. It reminded us that the legacy is not defined by titles or accolades, but by the positive impact we make in the lives of others. They challenged the fellow graduates to think about the mark they will leave on this world, encouraging them to produce passion, embrace kindness, and strive to make a difference. As the student said, our names will be remembered not for the awards we win, but for the hearts we touch and the lives we change. This powerful message underscored the value we hope to instill in our students: kindness, compassion, and commitment to making a positive difference in this world. The success of the graduation ceremony was a big effort. I want to extend my heartfelt congratulations to everyone involved. From the meticulous planning of our administration team to dedication of our teachers and staff and unwavering support of our parents and community members, it was truly a team effort. As we reflect on these ceremonies, it's important to remember that true leadership is not about pleasing everyone. It's about making profound decisions that make a lasting change impact. Leadership is often messy, it's challenging, but it requires us to navigate through complexities and uncertainties. Our goal should not be to seek approval from all, but to act with purpose, ensuring our decisions lead to meaningful progress and a better future. We'll now proceed with citizen participation on the agenda, and I'll now turn this over to our Board Secretary, Justin Ray, to continue.
As per BED Local, patrons may address the board during the regular board meeting under city.
Thank you for your patience. Just for the record, there is a new link on Facebook since we had to stop the other one. So if anyone wants to look at, there is a new link being posted on Facebook. These are the current lights we have because we're under generator power. So please be careful as you walk around. And please do not use the elevator because there's apparently only one. So be careful. We'll now continue with agenda item 4A.
Per BED Local, patrons may address the board during the regular board meeting under citizen participation on any matters of interest or concerns that are not posted agenda items. Individuals may only register to speak one time per meeting and must register in advance. Just a reminder, patrons who have registered to speak this evening may see the order of names listed on the screen behind me. Before your name is called, please move forward and sit in one of the 2 reserved seats on the front row. Each speaker will have 1 minute this evening. The first speaker is Christina Milan.
Transparency is not just sharing information when it suits your agenda or when defending yourself after making a questionable decision. It's about sharing information even when you may face criticism. BBF Local outlines the ethical standards each member must adhere to. I'll remind you of a couple. I will base my decisions on fact rather than supposition, opinion, or public favor. I will tell the truth. At the May 6th board meeting, Dr. Blassingame indicated that, quote, the comments and revisions are based on deep dives into the online curriculum that we were all given access to. At the June 13th work session, Dr. Blassingame asked if she could have the opportunity to review materials that included the state's edits. Dr. Macias clarified she had access via online textbook links, and Dr. Blassingame said, quote, "I did not, because I know that right now, in order to get it, I would have to write to the publishers to get a link for it," end quote. So which of these is the truth, Dr. Blassingame?
Jennifer Chanette.
The destruction of public education, the injection of Christian nationalism. Basically, you want to groom and indoctrinate CFISD. That is the end game. But have you thought ahead? We will no longer be a destination district, but you will still be living in it. What will happen to property values? Todd lives in Bridgeland, Lucas lives in Town Lake. Maybe you hope to create some cult-like utopia, like Waco, Jonestown, Heaven's Gate. I mean, you're already happily drinking the orange Kool-Aid dispensed by a convicted felon. But who will be in charge of this utopia? Because we all know that Natalie wants to be. I know Bethany has baptized people in her home bathtub. Just think about it. She could now use the lazy river in Town Lake. Instead of a run by fruiting like in Mrs. Doubtfire, it could be a float by baptism. Everyone can line up in their tubes and be dunked and find salvation. Religion does not belong in public education. Cults do not belong in public education.
Tara Cummings.
Appalled by our 6 Christian nationalist trustees treating CFISD like their cult? Well, buckle up, buckaroos, because they're just getting started. Their decision to censor textbooks based on recommendations from Monica Dean is unacceptable. Those 6 wouldn't know an objective fact if it jumped up and bit them, and it's clear that they desperately need the very science education they censored. Pending their decision on item 8H, I intend to file a formal grievance, and I encourage every single parent to do the same. The grievance policy and form are available on the district website, if you can find where they buried it, and you have 15 days to file. Let's not forget General Counsel Marnie Sims' reference to Jesus as rationale for the proposed library policy. She told me that in her role, she does not have the luxury of personal opinion. I'm sorry, but what are your religious beliefs if not the luxury of personal opinion? Not to mention that religion has no place in district policy. Bring on the grievances, lawsuits, and federal complaints. That'll be a great use of taxpayer money.
Ginger Patel.
I've come directly from work today as a nurse practitioner. I'm here to speak about the removal of chapters from the health science textbook used in the course Principles of Health Science. This is a required prerequisite course for the practicum in health science and also health science theory. These classes prepare students to enter the workforce as pharmacy technicians, certified nursing aides, EMTs, and registered dental assistants. In my 18 years of experience in the medical field, I know firsthand how these professions provide important health care to our community. If the school board wishes to prepare career-ready students, removing this information gravely affects Cypher-ISD students' ability to pass the certification courses required for these careers. I recommend, as a healthcare professional, to reconsider the removal of these chapters because they are vital to preparing the future healthcare workforce.
Pearl Patel.
As an incoming freshman to Jersey Village High School, I find the actions of the 6 board members that removed important material from the textbooks appalling. These textbooks were already approved by the state and a committee of educators from CFISD. I asked the board members that voted to censor these chapters, what is their expertise in these subjects? I provided a list for their reference so they can respond. One topic that was censored hits close to home for me and my peers. 6 board members removed chapters in the biology book discussing all infectious diseases and all vaccines. This information needs to be left in textbooks because uneducated students will lead to the spread of misinformation and may cause people to stop receiving vaccines and medicine. In the Principles of Education textbook, they removed chapters about teaching, special education, and cultural diversity. First, future educators need to have this information so they know how to properly teach students with these differences. Ask the board members that voted to censor these chapters, what is their conflict to educators knowing about these subjects? In addition, these textbooks are already approved and paid for. Although I'm only 14, this seems like a poor financial decision by those 6 board members. I urge the board to take action to reverse this decision.
Your time is up. Please conclude your remarks. Thank you. Madeline Henry.
My name is Madeline, and I'm a 4th grader at Hamilton Elementary. My purpose for speaking is because I'm trying to change your mind about taking climate change out of textbooks. Kids that are interested in climate change and want to help make Earth better won't learn about it because it won't be in textbooks to study. And how are kids learning about changes on Earth, such as global warming, dangerous or inappropriate? It's not. The first reason why it's important to read about climate change is so you understand it for when you get older. The second reason why it's important is because kids might make up ideas to help solve climate change. When I grow up, I want to become a scientist. But how will I know about climate change if it's not in textbooks? So please don't take climate change out of textbooks. Kids need to learn more about climate change. Thank you.
Brian Henry.
Hello, my name is Earth. I'm getting warmer and my climate is changing due to human activity. None of this matters much to me because I'll go on living until the sun dies, but I'm surprised that you would want to hide information about me from your students. Isn't censorship something more common in countries like China, Iran, and Russia? If you let your students learn the truth about me, then maybe they will fix the problems they've inherited from previous generations. Like me, their science instruction should be well-rounded, but that doesn't mean denying facts. Just because some people believe I am flat doesn't mean that students should be taught both sides of the issue. It's important to acknowledge empirical evidence, and it's okay to promote solutions to problems. For example, you could use Earth Day, which means the world to me, to celebrate conservation efforts and renewable energy. Lastly, as you consider whether to censor textbooks about me, may the forest always be with you.
Megan Costello.
Good evening. My name is Megan Costello. 2 months ago, I was honored by you with this Bringing Out the Best award. Today, I stand before you as a former teacher of this district that I grew up in and dedicated 21 of my 26 years of teaching to. I left because of you. You let me down, and you let down our students. When you voted to omit chapters from the science and CTE materials, you showed that you do not value my expertise as an educator nor as a scientist. I served as a member of both the curriculum writing and instructional materials committees. Your decision to ignore our recommendations was a slap in the face. Your lack of transparency and obvious lack of content knowledge showed that you had already made up your minds in order to further your own agendas. Your repeated assertion of ultimate authority has dismantled the strengths of this district. Do not patronize these teachers with your disingenuous appreciation. Your thanks hold no value when you continually undermine.
Your time is up. Please conclude your remarks.
Show your true appreciation by trusting them. Reinstate the omitted chapters. Thank you.
Hello. All right. Thank you. I want to take this moment to read a message that I sent to address certain individuals, and they know who they are. It reads, "It is sad that this has become, once again, a partisan playground instead of a space for open advocacy. It's outrageous and disheartening. There are folks in here who have gone out and called people horrible things simply for having different ideology beliefs. Things I wouldn't even utter out of my own mouth. As a 16-year-old boy, I have seen more respect for fellow human beings at high school football games inside the O-line trenches. This is supposed to be a space for constructive dialogue, not destructive criticism or a playground for insults We are here for me and my fellow classmates, education, not your driving political agenda. That you want to enforce into our classrooms. Nothing to do with true classroom education. We can, and I will make sure that we will do better." Thank you.
Wendy Cowan.
I'm here again to share my concern about the decisions being made by our school district administration and school board. I previously requested that parents and educators be included in discussions, but I'm disappointed to see that our board continues to disregard parental and educator input. I have a child that loves STEAM, especially art, math, and science, and she loves competing in Science Olympiad. I'm deeply concerned about the impact removing chapters that include TEKS items from the state-approved textbooks will have on her future. The 118,000 students in this district deserve comprehensive and factual textbooks. We should be focusing on educating critical thinkers that can evaluate and process the information they are provided. Please reinstate the chapters previously removed at the last board meeting and honor the textbook committee's recommendation to approve the State Board of Education approved textbooks. I want to again implore the board and administration to please stop politicizing our schools and put our children and the education professionals above personal beliefs and political agendas. Thank you for your time.
Debbie Blackshear.
Good evening. You know, as a board of trustees, this board is supposed to be nonpartisan, and politics should not play a part in your decisions. You say you want transparency, you talk about parent rights, but yet you take actions that show just the opposite of what you say. Our students, we developed our portrait of a graduate, and we want our students to be critical thinkers. We want them to prepare them for the next step in life. And if you're omitting passages in a book, you are not doing that. You are harming them and not helping them. Thank you.
Kira Becker.
I am here to comment on the curriculum changes made at the May 6th board meeting. By voting to remove sections from the science and teaching textbooks, the board defied the district's mission and violated its code of ethics. I urge the board to reverse this decision. The district's mission is to prepare students to be 21st century global leaders, yet the board removes scientific discoveries from previous centuries. How can our students become global leaders without the same knowledge as their peers? Not teaching on topics like climate change and cultural diversity does not mean that they cease to exist. Your code of ethics states that you will base your decisions on fact rather than supposition, opinion, or public favor, but this decision was based on your opinions. That is outside of your role on this board. I respect your beliefs. I assume you had a chance to listen to different perspectives and decide what you believe. I ask that you let our students do the same.
Kevin Hawkins.
This is Kevin Hawkins, right? That's okay. Sorry. Dr. Blasingame said tonight, which is, did we do enough, and what else can we do? I come to you tonight as a published scientist. I've worked both in the academic sphere as an evolutionary biologist and industry science sphere in biotechnology. I'm also a CFISD teacher. I teach dual credit biology and AP biology. I am here to advocate for my students. As a scientist and a teacher, I'm severely appalled by the decision of this board to remove select topics from the science curriculum. The decision to remove these topics displaces our students and makes it much harder for them to catch up as they pursue college. Many of the removed topics will be discussed in college. If we remove those topics, they will fall behind, okay? If I take my phone and I let it go, what is it gonna do? It's gonna fall, right? Due to gravity. We know this. The topics that you are removing from the science curriculum are that simple. Please reinstate them.
Ashley Buckner.
As the community has inundated you with concern and worry regarding your handling of the budget, librarians, textbooks, and curriculum, removal of bus service, and the new library policy, and their concerns have been met with derision, delusion, callousness, and flat-out lies, I have 100% confidence saying your behavior is an embarrassment to this district. You do not care about or respect the teachers and staff of this district. If you did, you wouldn't have your campaign workers, friends, and family members calling them groomers online. You wouldn't be making them attend pointless trainings or not preparing them with curriculum because you're offended by the polio vaccine. You do not care about the safety of these children. It's evident that you want to wait until the last possible moment to cut bus service and are going to make our children walk miles alone in the nation's capital for human trafficking. That is a safety concern for our students, not the crusade of a few books in libraries. None of you are science or healthcare experts. Todd, I want to make people aware that you have absolutely no education or experience in healthcare. You have no business spewing your internet theories about vaccines. I will finish my statement on the Facebook group.
Lisa Abuka.
Todd, if you believe that autism is caused by vaccines, why didn't you man up and just say it? Very cowardice of you to not say what you believe loud and proud. You're wrong, but since we live in America, we're given the freedom to say so. To compare 1960 technology and scientific knowledge to 2024 is just dumb. We hadn't even been to the moon yet, if you believe Neil Armstrong anyway. But it sounds like InfoWars is your source. One of our librarians should teach you about trustworthy sources. Sounds like you have lots to learn.
Dr. Cleveland Lane, Jr.
Greetings. I'm a Cypher ISD parent, 21 years, biology professor in higher education for 27 years. As we prepare to celebrate Juneteenth, National Independence Day, I want to stress the importance of maintaining unbiased and credible information. It took over two years before Texas freed enslaved Africans by controlling information. So with understanding of the control of information and removing chapters from a book, this is another way of controlling our children and our parents. To have them to look for sources that are over 10 years old, that does not help our teachers. Our teachers know where current information is. The committees came together. The state of Texas came together. You need to take and lean on the professionals that have looked and up the information.
Your time is up. Please conclude your remarks.
Thank you.
Austin McGowan.
Thank you. I'd like to address mainly the parents and educators and anyone else in the district watching this online or from in this room. Something I need you to understand about this board is that they do not respect us. They think we are stupid. Discussed today will be the library materials changes. These changes give the board the power to ignore the Reconsideration Committee's determination on challenged books. This is a direct attack on the parents whose voices are heard through that Reconsideration Committee. The board aims to take away the power of parents and vest it in themselves because they do not respect you. Discussed today will also be the instructional materials changes, where the board has chosen to censor materials from your students' textbooks. When confronted by an employee, they lied about the policy's wording, claimed it did not say the things they did, and changed their stories about how things were reviewed. They did this all live on tape. They did it while you were watching because they do not respect you. They think you are stupid. Thank you.
Jill Center.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak in response to statements made during the board work session on June 13th regarding instructional materials policy. I begin by recognizing that within board policies, the trustees claim ultimate authority, which is granted to the members in final approval of instructional materials. However, to speak with authority, but without knowledge or experience, is at the very least unkind and to many harmful. The trustee who spoke of a relationship between the prevalence of autism and the schedule of childhood vaccination spoke with authority. However, he did not speak with knowledge or experience. Correlation is not causation. As an autistic individual and a parent to neurodiverse children who have graduated from and currently attend Cypress-Fairbanks schools, I am repulsed by the idea that a person in authority sees my children as damaged and that blame must be placed for their identities and experiences. How can this district serve with equity when the students who require services are dismissed by those in authority for who they are? Thank you.
Scott, is it Blaha? Scott Blaha? Blaha? Scott? Do we have a Scott Blaha here? Is it Scott? Scott Blaha? Blaha? Okay. John Rosenthal.
Good evening, and thank you for the time to speak. My name is John Rosenthal. I'm the Texas State Representative for District 135, and I would like to use this time to comment on funding for public education in Texas. And right now I'm calling on all Texans that can hear my voice to take action regarding the current underfunding of our public schools. Our neighborhood schools in Texas, some districts are closing campuses. Some districts are going to 4-day instructional weeks. Our district here is struggling with massive financial problems. All while the state sits on a massive budget surplus. We have $5 billion appropriated from the current budget that's yet unspent, and $18 billion in surplus sitting right now that State Comptroller Hagar projects will be over $21 billion by the time your legislature convenes in January. So you may not want to blame a single individual, but there's only one person who can call the legislature into session to fund our schools. And that's the governor of Texas. So I'm just asking you all to contact the governor and your legislators and urge them to address this problem. We have the money. We can totally do it. All we need is the will. So thank you very much for this time.
Suzanne Body.
Suzanne Both?
Body.
Body. Suzanne Body.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Body. I'm a retired Cypress-Fairbanks ISD physical education teacher and a resident of the school district. It's my understanding that you're going to cut additional elementary physical education teachers due to budget cuts. While I totally understand that funding is an issue, you need to understand that each action has a reaction, and make each of you aware that our community aware of what is expected now that you're making these decisions. You're going to be placing over 100 kids in a mini gymnasium that is not much larger than a volleyball court under the direction of one teacher. That teacher, you're expecting them to do fitness testing on each student while maintaining class sizes and maintaining instruction with those kids. This is absolutely impossible. Not only that, but you're going to increase discipline issues by putting that many kids together at one time. You also do not have a certified physical education teacher as the curriculum coordinator for physical education. You have a music teacher. Thank you very much.
Grayson Williams.
My name is Grayson Williams, and I'm a senior at Cypress Woods. I stand before you to express my deep concern over the proposal to eliminate bus transportation for certain students. Many families in our community rely on bus transportation. Removing the service would disproportionately impact those without the flexibility or resources to drive their children to school. This impractical decision also poses significant safety risks, particularly for students traveling from Coles Crossing to Spillane or Cypress Woods. The route from Coles involving walking along Barca, Cypress, and Jarvis, which are heavily trafficked due to the schools, bus barn, and soon-to-be new hospital. Expecting students to navigate these conditions daily is not only unreasonable, but it is irresponsible. The scorching Texas heat and inclement weather would exacerbate these dangers. It will only be a matter of time before an accident occurs, potentially resulting in serious injury or worse. The safety of the students in our district must be your top priority. I plead with you to reconsider this proposal and to keep student safety a priority for the sake of us and the future of our community. Please work together to find viable solutions that prioritize safety and ensures that every child has access to the education they deserve without risking their lives. Thank you for your time.
Heidi Rothschild. Heidi Rothschild, there you are.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm a retired Cypher teacher and counselor, and I'm speaking tonight to protest the removal of Chapter 15, Technology for Instruction, from the CTE textbook teaching. I have limited time, so I'm going to focus on just how essential one area of that removed chapter is, and that is the section on online research activities. Pretty obvious from the discussion tonight that this is an area that we need to address in our classrooms. 21st century teachers must teach their students how to evaluate the flood of information that we find online. But learning to evaluate media is not easy. Even educated adults are influenced by questionable online sources. The censored textbook chapter has an excellent graphic that clearly outlines the steps you would take to follow in evaluating a source. Withholding it from our students does them a disservice, and I urge you to reinstate the censored materials. Thank you.
Russell, is it Campy? Russell?
While he's coming up, I was just going to tell you that we're dealing with a power issue and CenterPoint's working on it.
Daniel Buckner?
Howdy. I do not want any of you or Monica Dean pushing your agenda on my child. I'm the parent of my child, not you. It is my job to censor things for my child, not you. If you don't like that, take your agenda elsewhere. How about Natalie's employer, that Christian charter school in Dallas? Public education should be public. These children deserve a proper education. That means all information available to learn critical thinking to be a productive member of our society. That is your job, to run the district with that as a mission. Thank you.
Jeremiah Becker?
Good evening. My name is Jeremiah Becker. I'm going to be a junior in high school next year, and I'm homeschooled. I would like to start off with a little story today. Last year, before the wrestling season started, I went to my local high school and I asked the wrestling coach if I could join. He gave me a physical form to be filled out by my doctor, which I got filled out and I turned into him. But then later I found out that it is in Cypher's ISD policy to not allow homeschool participation. Texas House Bill 547 states that it is up to the school board to decide whether homeschoolers can participate in UIL activities or not. I have many friends that go to Cypher ISD schools, and they are all in support of the inclusivity of homeschoolers in UIL activities. Homeschooler families still pay thousands of dollars in taxes to public schools even if their kids don't attend. Therefore, I urge the board to change the policy. A change in this policy would bring forth more inclusivity and more opportunities.
Thank you. Your time is up. Please conclude your remarks.
Thank you for your time.
Bob Covey.
I practice this at home, and I know no doubt that it's going to go over a minute, so I'm just going to pass around what I have to say. I've been a 50-year Republican, and now I'm considered a rhino, pretty much not because of the way I look, but because I don't necessarily follow the support and the conservatism I see in the ultra-Republican Party. I'm going to glance over some of what I have here and just go to Natalie. And Natalie, I will tell you, you and I have had a number of discussions, even 6 years ago, and you told me at that time you wanted to bring the Bible into this classroom, and that was your ultimate goal. And that's what you wanted to do. I'm telling you that I do not want the Bible in the classroom because I want that being taught in the home and in the church that my grandkids will go to. I also understood and read that a Republican precinct chair shared the spherical model for the newly elected board members this past November, which include renaming the Mark Henry Building.
Your time is up. Please conclude your remarks.
That's it. Don't do that. Don't do anything that she said. And let me also say, you said that you wanted to cease the 6-hour meetings. I don't see that working for you guys.
Deborah Zamora.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Zamora, and I've been a Cypher patron since 1992.
I'm here to speak about my concerns with the deletion of TEKS-relevant chapters from the textbook selected for the 2024-2025 school year. I'll begin with the book chosen for the Health Science Clinical. The class is limited to juniors and seniors in the CTE program, as mentioned by Ginger Patel earlier in the evening. It's part of curriculum leading to a capstone course, which is dual credit with Lone Star College and serves as a prep class for not only for future physicians, RNs, and surgeons, but also for registered dental assistants, pharmacy technicians, and certified nursing assistants. It's my understanding that the latter three require passage of an exam to procure Texas certification. Pharmacy technicians can't legally work in-state at all without a certificate. Many of these students want to get tested and start working in these careers right out of high school. Staffing these positions is important right here in the district. We have a number of elder care facilities within our boundaries, as well as several hospitals, plus a Methodist hospital.
Your time is up. Please conclude your remarks.
Okay. CNAs are important because they staff a lot of our elder care.
So once again, there is a new link for the live stream. So I'll tell your friends and family. And we'll now continue on with comments.
Our next speaker is Angela Martin Greer.
Good evening. I'm a long-term Cyfair resident and my son attended Cyfair schools. With so many facets of our educational system being misrepresented and politicized, our students and teachers are caught in the crossfire. I'm concerned about and disagree with the school board removing several chapters or sections of material from textbooks for the upcoming school year, especially science textbooks. These textbooks have already been reviewed, amended, and approved by the TEA. With several of the new topics being tied to STAR testing benchmarks, it is vital that our students and teachers have access to all available resources. In fact, materials reflecting different points of view should be introduced and discussed. If the motivation is to assist students in developing critical thinking skills, then allow them to have access to all materials, including those that may differ from your personal beliefs, to make logical, informed assessments and decisions. Thank you.
Dave Mahan.
Good evening, board. My name is Dave Mann. I am a Cyfair resident and parent. I know there's a school district, a metroplex to the north of us that was considering the idea of teaching both sides of the Holocaust, as if there were such a thing. I'm wondering if that's the direction we're going when we talk about teaching both sides of a question, one based in reality and one based in nothing. Comments by two board members this past Thursday are emblematic of the crux of the problem this district faced under the control of this board. Mr. Ray made a point of flexing authority, and Mr. Lecomte made, despite persistent attempts to redirect him, public statements that were specious at best and which he was unqualified to assert. This is what we're trying to avoid in education. We want our kids to learn reality and make good decisions in the future, a future most of us aren't going to be around to see, but they're going to have to deal with. So leave bias, leave politics, leave religion out of it. Teach them what the science says we can know. Not what we want to know, but what we can know based on the evidence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Although reports and public hearing portions of the agenda were presented on Thursday, we do have one speaker for 6A under public hearing for this evening, Rosemary Wilson.
Good evening. I'm Rosemary Wilson from Feast Elementary. I'm back again to explain how important librarians are. I started reading from a young age, and I live in a family with many well-read people. Many kids my age struggle to read as well as I do. Yes, we have reading tutors in the schools, but we won't have enough for most of the kids in our district. Kids like me, and ones who need more help, all deserve the engagement of a librarian. They give us a lot of the life skills we need. They teach us how to use a library and read a book. Without these skills, kids are not only bad at reading, but their grades will drop. drop. They might not succeed in future grade levels, leading them to possibly not have the choice to go to college. Please help us truly bring out the best in our students. Don't get rid of our campus librarians. Thank you.
We'll now proceed with the consent agenda items. 7A, the board consider approving minutes from May 6th. 7B, the board consider approving budget amendments from period April to June. 7C, the board considers approving the resolution for the commitment of the district's fund balance. 7D, the board consider approving a list of qualified financial institutions, brokers, dealers, investment pools, investment advisors. 7E, the board consider approving a resolution for the district's investment policy and strategy officers for the district. 7F, the board consider authorizing the superintendent to execute a memorandum of understanding with Tarleton State University. 7G, the board consider authorizing the superintendent to execute on an agreement of memorandum of understanding with Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. 7H, the board consider authorizing the superintendent to execute the interlocal agreement with Harris County Resources for Children and Adults. 7I, the board consider approving a memorandum of understanding between Harris County Juvenile Board and Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. 7J, the board consider authorizing the superintendent to execute on memorandum of understanding for University of Houston, Victoria. 7K, the board will consider request for TEA missed school days waiver. 7L, the board consider approving a request for the Texas Education Agency waiver to allow district staff for various education strategies. 7M, the board will consider approving the attached list of facilities for off-campus physical education. 7N, the board will consider authorizing the superintendent to execute the renewal of the interlocal agreement with Harris County and Academic Behavior School. 7O, the board will consider authorizing the superintendent to execute the renewal of the interlocal agreement with Harris County School-Based Therapy Services. 7P, this board will consider granting a temporary construction easement with the North Harris County Regional Water Authority and authorize them to negotiate final terms. 7Q, the board will consider approving the interlocal agreement with Harris County MUD 364 and 365 in Harris County to install playground equipment at Sampson Elementary. 7R, the board will consider approving the Centerport Energy Houston electrical blanket agreement. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Provide the electrical services at Jarvis Transportation Center and authorize the superintendent to designate and negotiate final terms. 7S, the board will consider approving the granting a temporary workspace for easement to Exxon Mobil Pipeline Company in Danish Elementary. 7T, the board will consider approving and granting the temporary workspace easement to Enterprise Technologies at Danish Elementary. 7U, the board will consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from bond funds. 7UI, 2023 maintenance and operations renovations. 7V, the board consider approving bids, contracts, authorizing purchase orders. I'm not going to read through those, they're all in your agenda, but 7V1 through 7V19. If any board member wishes to remove one or more items for further discussions, may do so at this time.
Mr. Henry, I think we did have one speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss you? Wasn't in my list. I apologize. Oh, it was. I'm sorry. I missed that. 7A. You may go ahead. Ms. Williams.
Hello, President Henry, Dr. Killian, members of the board, and guests. I'm Tensmika Williams, President of Cypher TSDA. Cypher ISD is a public school district that is supposed to be dedicated to teaching the truth to all its students. Regardless of how painful some truths may be to some people, the school board's decision to omit chapters from state-approved textbooks is an attempt to deny the truth about cultural diversity, climate change, and the effectiveness of vaccinations, among other topics. It is censorship. That practice undermines our educational system and our way of life. Cultural diversity.
Ma'am, your item was on the last board meeting, not this board meeting, so that was not even on the agenda of that meeting.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Is my correct, Marnie?
This is not on the consent agenda. So we can.
I asked, could I move it up? But
We can move it to the other one if you like. Would it be?
So you're speaking on what was the agenda item?
The board for minutes from May 6th.
No, that's not an appropriate comment on the minutes. It could be if you had a revision or if you felt something, but not about the content of what was discussed at the last board meeting.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Once again, if any board member wants to remove one or more items for further discussion, may do so at this time. Seeing none, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consensus items as recommended or amended.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
May I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. That's unanimous. We'll now proceed to non-consent agenda items. 8A, the board consider approving the engagement with Wheeler and Tidwell perform energy audit services. May I get a motion, please?
I move that the board approve engagement with Weaver and Tidwell LLP to perform efficiency and audit services.
May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? I know we discussed this last time. We'll now take a vote. All signify by raising your right hand. It is unanimous. Holly. 8B, the board consider approving the district's hazardous traffic conditions resolution as required by TEA to receive supplemental transportation funding. We have 3 speakers. Our first speaker is Brandon Lee Dawson Marsh. Yes. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brandy Lee Dawson Marsh, and I am a parent of a rising 6th grader at Spillane, a pre-K teacher at Robinson Elementary, and the vice president of the Coles Crossing HOA board. Thank you for having me tonight to speak. I'm here to speak about the lack of infrastructures in the surrounding communities that need to be addressed in order to maintain safe transportation to and from schools for all students. In Coles Crossing, without sidewalks on Spring Cypress and Jarvis, students coming from Coles Crossing will be in danger. Also, has the district ordered and installed bike racks at Spillane or Cy Woods with all of the new bike traffic that could be happening? When the time change and it is dark, without these infrastructures of our bordering sidewalks, the addition of lights, potentially added police, students are not only at risk of being hit by cars, but also being snatched from those areas and then nefarious and malicious things happening to them, or worse, being kidnapped and potentially sex trafficked. And finally, with regards to the traffic patterns at Spillane and Cy Woods, these schools both start at the same time. Without added infrastructures and with the increased traffic flow, how are parents supposed to drop off students at one school and then navigate the traffic to drop off a student at the other? How is this going to work with rainy day dismissal and the extra traffic? What about traffic from the new hospital that's going to be extra added traffic? I implore you to reconsider your 2-mile radius decision and take into account these lacks of infrastructures in these neighborhoods and schools. Thank you so much for taking my comments under advisement.
Rachel Harris is our next speaker. Rachel Harris. Lindsay Wilson, next speaker.
Good evening. As a parent, I have concerns about how the new transportation plan is going to play out. However, I would guess that the majority of CFISD families are unaware of this significant change looming in the near future. The PowerPoint slide presented at the May meeting describes situations in which students will be losing bus service if this plan is approved. While I've read the parameters carefully, I am still unsure of whether my own elementary school child will have bus service to her school, which sits on the opposite side of West Road from our home. The existence of a crosswalk or traffic light on a road like West does not ensure a safe walking path, and so many families affected by this change will need to drive their children to school. This will increase car traffic around all campuses. The issue of safety must be considered. Will the reduction of bus service increase or decrease safety for students and residents in the district? Families are going to need time to prepare for the loss of bus service. The additional removal of late buses will limit some students' ability to participate in after-school activities. I am requesting clear and prompt communication on the following questions. What percentage of students in the district will lose their bus service in the fall? Please make this number public to CFISD stakeholders. What date will the district be contacting those families who no longer have bus service with definitive information? Please do not wait until August to put this information out. I want to remind CFISD families and voters that we wouldn't be in this budget situation if Governor Abbott would fully fund public schools unattached to his voucher scheme. Texas school districts are going broke because of his obstructionism in Austin. Community members, please contact the governor and ask him to fully fund our schools so we have transportation for all students. Thank you.
On 8B, may I get a motion, please?
I move that the board approve the district's hazardous traffic conditions resolution.
May I have a second?
Second.
This time, are there any questions, discussion? Seeing none, we'll now take a vote. All those in favor, please by raising your right hand. It is unanimous. 8C, the board considered adoption of the 2024-2025 budget, including the staff compensation plan. We do have two speakers. Ms. Williams, you're up on this item as well, followed by Rosemary Wilson. You may begin.
Okay, I'm speaking on raises. Is this the appropriate time? Okay, I'm just making sure.
We'll give you time now. Go ahead.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the Cyfair ISD School Board, I stand before you today to address the critical issue of teacher compensation and advocate for a well-deserved pay increase for our dedicated educators. As a concerned member of the community, I strongly support the Texas State Teachers Association's call for higher salaries for teachers in Texas, and I would like to highlight the key points they have raised. First and foremost, raising teacher salaries is crucial to attract and retain high-quality educators in an increasingly competitive job market. Offering competitive compensation packages will help us secure and keep the best teachers in our district. This, in turn, will lead to improved student outcomes and overall success. Furthermore, providing fair compensation for teachers will help address the issue of teacher turnover. Low salaries often force talented teachers to seek employment elsewhere, causing instability and disruption in our schools. By offering better pay, we can create a supportive environment that encourages teachers to build long-lasting careers within our district. While the district's plan addresses numerous important aspects, it is imperative that a portion of the funding is allocated to teacher compensation. Our educators have gone above and beyond these challenging times, adapting to new teaching models and supporting their students' social and emotional well-being. Recognizing their extraordinary efforts with a pay increase is not only fair, but also a strategic investment in the future of our district. As I conclude, I urge the Cyfair ISD School Board to seriously consider the need for a pay increase for our teachers. By raising salaries, we will attract and retain high-quality educators, reduce turnover, support professional development, address equity issues, and ultimately enhance the success and well-being of our students. Thank you.
Rosemary Wilson? Not here. At this time, I'll take a motion for 8C.
I move that the board adopt the 2024-2025 budget, including the 2024-2025 staff compensation plan.
May I get a second?
A second.
Are there any questions or discussion? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I just had some thoughts I wanted to share about this budget that we must pass. One of the main responsibilities of a board is to pass an annual budget. I've read that a budget is a reflection of your priorities, and I think about this a lot when we have to make this budget vote tonight. I've shared that in my 4 years on the board, I've always voted for a raise for teachers. I wish that it could be more so that all that serve our students in classrooms could be fairly compensated for the great work that they do. While I prioritize a raise for employees, there are other aspects of this budget and the administrative decisions that it is driving that I do not agree with. The elimination of full-time librarians at every campus, the reduction of college and career specialists, campus counselors, behavioral management professionals, behavioral interventionists, youth service specialists, maintenance workers, and paraprofessionals. The reduction in bus transportation, especially for students needing tutoring or participating in after-school extracurricular activities is especially concerning. I understand and acknowledge that all these reductions are due to the lack of adequate funding from the state legislature. Despite all these things, we have to make a decision tonight and vote for a budget for the school year. I am very proud of the financial effectiveness and efficiency of our school board and appreciate the incredible work of our highly qualified and exceptional CFO, Karen Smith, and her team.
Any other questions? Seeing no, may I get a motion, please, for 8C? I'm sorry. Already made that. Now I'll take a vote. Apologize. Sorry. All those in favor, signify by raising the right hand. The vote is unanimous. 8D, the board will consider approving on first reading additions, revisions, and deletions to district policy. 8D1, EFB local instructional resources. 8D2, GKD, community relations. 8D3, FDA admissions. There are 6 speakers. We'll start with the first speaker, Tara Cummings.
Spearheaded by the likes of Todd LeCompte, Bethany Scanlon, and Monica Dean, an extremist minority has been making outlandish claims of pornography in our schools. They accuse the district of violating their parental rights. They demanded a new book policy, and they succeeded. Our previous board voted unanimously on a policy that resulted in thousands of hours of additional work by already overburdened teachers and librarians. So you would think the extremists would be satisfied. Alas, here we are. The current proposal would further burden our dwindling librarians and teachers and would delay and make much more cumbersome the process of adding new library materials. Worst of all, the proposed policy would place the final decision for library materials in the hands of the board. So much for parents' rights. I mean, tell us you don't care about running off more teachers and librarians without telling us. Tell us you fully intend to make CFISD part of your cult. Tell us you hate queer kids, kids of color, kids from diverse cultures, kids whose parents aren't Christian nationalist white supremacists. Tell us you're afraid of ideas. Tell us you're A-OK violating the First Amendment. Surely y'all have seen the recent Fifth Circuit decision which found that Llano County violated the First Amendment and ordered them to return banned books back to the shelves. So surely you must know that this policy will result in costly, embarrassing litigation and federal complaints, and you will lose. Tell us you intend to waste taxpayer money on this extremist poppycock, and in the middle of a catastrophic budget crisis. I mean, the hubris. We are not afraid of ideas. We're not afraid of you. Our kids aren't in your cult, and we won't take this lying down.
Jennifer Chenette.
Parents have always been able to talk to the school librarian, but in August of 2022, a new policy was voted on which placed unnecessary stress on librarians and teachers. Roughly 1.5 million books had to be categorized, plus the books in over 13,000 classrooms. Parents have to opt their child into a higher reading level. Parents also have the choice to opt their child out of the library completely, but that wasn't enough for the extremists. Bethany Scanlon, Todd and his wife, and Monica Dean all submitted book reconsideration forms to our schools after the new policy was voted on, because they will never be satisfied. And guess what? Bethany and Todd then made it onto the Library Materials Committee. Now we have a new rule being voted on tonight that says that this Board of Trustees will have a say over any new library books being purchased for the district. So we have lost over half of our librarians. The remaining ones will float from campus to campus. And now they have to wait for a blessing from the board in order to do the job they are highly trained for. I didn't realize that all of you have a master's degree in library science. I would love to see your diplomas. Thursday night's discussion about this policy was atrocious. Natalie claims someone handed her the information on The Handmaid's Tale. Her bestie, Monica Dean, submitted reconsideration forms to 8 of our high schools on that book alone back in December of 2022. Since the meeting the other night, Bethany has chimed in on social media saying, "I am #Team Marnie!" exclamation point. I didn't realize it was Team Marnie versus Team Julie. Marnie defended the placement of Bethany on that committee. I guess a new friendship has blossomed. Mentioning Jesus getting nailed to the cross just gave you 50 extra bonus points with Bethany. Legal counsel's personal religious views have no place in public education. Membership in the Ruth Bader Ginsburg fan club has most certainly been revoked after that behavior. And now I have grave concerns about ethics.
Jill Center.
I have always seen the library as central to whatever community it serves. They are repositories of learning, centers for literacy, and safe havens for people to explore their unique experiences and identities. When untrained individuals want to censor or control access to materials gathered and cultivated by educated and trained professionals, it says time expired, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure it doesn't do that.
Keep going.
I worry that students are the ones damaged. My questions tonight are in regard to the EFB local policy for both informal and formal reconsideration of materials. In the policy, campus librarians are listed as team members in this process. With the reduction in staff of campus librarian positions, will this policy be able to be implemented as written, especially at the informal level? Will the policy be circumvented in the absence of campus librarians? With the current climate, I ask for the trustees to address this issue with transparency and timeliness to provide opportunities for accountability to all stakeholders. Additionally, the proposed changes to EFB local also include each acquisition list shall be provided to the superintendent and the board of trustees at least 5 days prior to posting on the district's website for 30 days. If it is not too great a leap to have concerns that a group that has the oversight and ultimate responsibility for the inclusion of library materials might vest themselves with the ability to censor works from the acquisition list prior to public posting when that right and act are not specifically prohibited within the policy that gives them such overreaching authority. Additionally, there is no clarification if the trustees are individually invested with this power or only collectively. Clarification of procedure and investiture of powers within the policy would assist in establishing transparency, trust, and cooperation with the stakeholders. Thank you.
Austin McGowan.
I believe that this change violates the collection development standards that the policy is meant to reflect. The state collection standards require in Section F that the responsibility for the selection and acquisition of library materials be carried out by a certified librarian. To give that ultimate authority to the boards of trustees is not only contrary to state standards, but internally inconsistent with the policy itself. The policy states that the reconsideration committee decides if a book is removed or not, which means the board does not have an ultimate power over reconsideration, as they are not actually involved in that process at all. There is no process or method outlined in the policy for them to exercise this power. A policy that isn't internally consistent with itself should not be approved. But they have shown us with the textbook changes that they have no problem lying about and wielding powers that they do not have. This text was added to the policy not by the policy committee, but by Marnie, who spent last week lying about its implications. Marnie claimed that this is how it's always been, but that isn't true. The previous policy draft gave all this responsibility to librarians as required by law. Marnie claimed that this is how other districts do it, but that also isn't true. I checked the policies of Humble ISD, Houston ISD, Katy ISD, Klein ISD, LaPorte ISD, Spring ISD, Alief ISD, and Lamar Consolidated ISDs, and none of them have this language. Additionally, Marnie has added a 5-day board-only sneak peek for library materials slated for pre-purchase review. She assures us that this 5-day period will not be used for nefarious ends, but this board has proven through its previous actions that they have no problem abusing their power and lying about it to the faces of parents and educators in this district. There is nothing in this policy to prevent abuse of this preview. The policy change is non-compliant with state standards, likely illegal, and designed to lead the district into lawsuit after lawsuit in a time when we are trying to cut spending. And why? To remove parents from the process? Do they truly hate us this much? Thank you.
Christina Woods.
The movie and book Zone of Interest is a fictionalized story of Nazi Commandant Rudolf Haas and his family. Theirs was a facile and abundant life in a home whose property adjoined the Auschwitz death camp. From the compound, they could hear people being shot and see the smoke that billowed day and night from the ovens where the bodies of Jewish people were incinerated. Books tell our history, including atrocities like the Holocaust. Some people like to hide from history and the truth, even when it's right there in their own backyard. Others like to hide history and the truth from those they are obligated to educate about it. The Sorted Six are attempting to do just that with the latest version of a library policy, which is actually just an attempt to place books on a board-approved burn pile. You say you don't trust master-degreed librarians to do their jobs, but there are members of this board that don't have college educations, and somehow you are now an authority on literature. To the Sorted Six, we know what is happening on your side of the fence, and we won't stand for it. You do not own our children. You do not own literature or this school district. In the words of Martha Ann Alito, Begonia.
Lisa Bucca.
If you want to censor and ban books, move to Iran, North Korea, or China. If you want to limit exposing children to adult content, keep personal electronic devices out of schools. But once children are home, they can access anything. There's this thing called the internet. You can literally get anything on it. The Bluest Eye, it's an audiobook on YouTube for a 9th grade English class for all the world to see. Just because I don't like something that you like doesn't mean I have the right to stop you from enjoying it. And I think that is something Jesus would agree with. Would Jesus approve of banning a book that a child would find interest, comfort, or answers in? No, he wouldn't. Would Jesus agree with limiting a child's potential to succeed? No, he wouldn't. Would Jesus agree with your plan to stop children from being critical thinkers? No, he wouldn't. What you are doing in the dark of night and behind closed doors is not the behavior of a Christian. So shame on you for writing a policy where the power lies with 7 apparently infallible people and not with 42 imperfect librarians. The proposed policy does not follow established case law and will again get Cypher ISD sued, which is not in the budget. Librarians are the ultimate authority on library materials, not politicians.
On 8D, may I get a motion, please?
I move the board approve the first reading additions, revisions, and deletions of district policy EFB local instructional resources library materials.
May I have a second?
A second.
Any questions at this time?
I have questions.
I'm sorry, what?
Go ahead.
Oh.
Did I read the wrong one? No, you just didn't. Do I need to read all of them? Give me some clarification. What motion did I make those improper?
Marnie, can you give some clarification on?
I just made the motion on 8D as written.
You just made the motion on 8D.
And you can do them separately. We were just indicating that if you want to approve all of them on first reading, you can read them all together, or you can do them separately. So just seeking clarity.
Okay.
Well, you have a motion and a second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Any questions at this time?
Yes. Go ahead. Thank you. I do have a couple of questions regarding the revisions to EFB local. My first question is for Dr. Macias. Dr. Macias, can you share with the board what is the current process for acquiring new library books?
So currently, the process begins at the campus level. The campus librarians, sometimes the librarians work together to actually talk about different books or different collections. But the campus librarian would put together her collection or her books that he or she wants to purchase and do the purchase order, all of that for it. And then last year, was it last year when we did a revision on the policy, or yep, last year, we added that the campus principal would sign off on that list. So prior to last year, the librarian ordered it and went through the process, and they got sent to the library. We added that the campus principal needed to sign off on anything that the librarian was ordering.
Are books that are listed on the acquisition request reviewed and approved by the district librarian supervisor, or no?
Not at this time.
Okay. I have some questions regarding the 30-day, the section that was added regarding a 30-day posting of books that are under request to be acquired. This language appears to add more bureaucracy to a process that seems to already be functioning. Perhaps it could be improved by adding the library supervisor, the district librarian supervisor, to the process. That would be one way to improve the process without adding additional bureaucracy. I do have a question. It's actually for Todd, since he was the chair of the board policy subcommittee, and that subcommittee added this language regarding the 30-day and the 5-day process to the proposed revision to our policy. So Todd, is this language required by state law?
You need to direct a question to me, the presiding officer, not the individual board members, please.
Okay, Scott, is this language required by state law or TSLAC standards?
I don't know the answer to that question, but we can ask Marnie. Marnie, is that? I don't know.
Is a 30-day required by law or TSLAC?
You're talking specific, Julie, just make sure I clarify your question. Are you asking specifically about the 30-day
And the 5-day.
and the 5-day? Is that required by TSLAC?
Neither of those are required by TSLAC.
Okay. Where did this language, this new policy language come from? I thought it came from the policy committee. I thought that's what was shared, but.
Yes, we discussed that in the policy committee.
I did some research, also did some research on some other school districts, and I found similar language in 2 other school districts. However, in those 2 school districts that have similar 30-day posting revisions to their library book policy, it does provide more transparency to the public by requiring a vote of the entire board. So one board member cannot make a unilateral decision as to whether or not a book is available to CFISD students. So my next question is, if a board member reviews the list of library materials being considered for purchase by the district and objects to a particular book, will the board member's objections be treated in the same way as objections from a district parent, employee, or resident, and subject to the same procedure as outlined in EFB regulations? Meaning they submit the same form as required by parents or residents, indicating that they've read the book in its entirety, what their concerns are, and what they believe should be done with the material.
Yes, if there is, our current regulation that's proposed, of course, it can't be finalized until after the policy is finalized, but it would be if there were a concern, it's not limited to parent or student. If there were a concern, we would have a process to review prior to removal from the acquisition list.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm clear, if a board member objects to a book on the pre-screening list, does the board member follow the same process as a parent or a district resident?
We have a form that we would complete, and we would review it, and we would do the same review, and what are the concerns if it's a review prior to acquisition, because it is actually a different standard prior to acquisition than post-acquisition, but we decided to, based on feedback, we decided to create a process to review that was similar, and that was based on the library policy, library materials committee feedback.
Okay, with that said, I believe it would be appropriate to state in EFB local that questions or concerns raised by a board member regarding library materials proposed for acquisition shall be addressed in the same manner or in the manner provided in EFB local. What I'm trying to say is now it is not clear. If you're saying that a board member has a question about purchasing about a book on the list to be purchased, that we will follow the same process as anyone else in the district, that needs to be stated in EFB local.
That would be a board decision.
I'm fine supporting that.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Luke. If the process is to be the same, I would suggest proposing these following revisions to EFB Local. 1, no individual board member has the right to require removal of any library materials from the acquisition list prior to the posting of the acquisition list on the district website. That means that no books can be removed in that special 5-day time period between the time when the board is notified of the list and it is publicized on the website. And no library materials will be removed from the acquisition list before the acquisition list is posted on the website based upon questions or concerns raised by an individual board member. 2, any board member request for removal or reconsideration of any library materials on the acquisition list must be made by submitting to the district library supervisor a completed request for reconsideration using the same form that district students, parents, employees, and residents are required to use. Such board member's completed request form will be provided to the entire board upon submission by the board member. 3, the acquisition list for library materials will be presented to the board for approval at the first regular board meeting of the board following the 30-day posting period. At such meeting, no board member may request removal of library materials. That ensures a transparent process. 4, after the reconsideration process has been completed with respect to any request for removal or reconsideration by a board member and a determination has been made that the library material will be removed from the acquisition list, the removal of the library material from the acquisition list must be voted on by the entire board at the next board meeting after such determination. Next, no library materials will be removed from the acquisition list solely based upon the ideas contained in the material, the identity or personal background of the author, or the personal background of the characters of the material. The major criterion for the final decision on removing of library materials from the acquisition list is the appropriateness of the material for voluntary inquiry or self-selected reading to encourage student reading and enrich and support student learning. Finally, regarding formal reconsideration committees, no spouse or family member of a board member or any other individual who cannot be employed by the district under the nepotism policy and DBE legal will be appointed to any reconsideration committee related to proposed acquisition material or library materials already in the library collection. That was a lot.
Are you done?
Ask questions? Yeah.
So I have some prepared comments, but let me go ahead and address Julie's proposed amendments. In their entirety, there's definitely some things worth looking at. I'm not prepared to act on those this evening. However, I highly recommend that you submit your recommendations to the policy committee for further revision. I'm prepared to vote for it as it is this evening. I'm open to further amendments, but I'm not ready to make a vote on amendments this evening. However, I would request that the policy committee give that due diligence and actually take it into consideration and bring back any revised revisions based on Trustee Heinemann's recommendations.
And that's good. And we sometimes do that between first and second readings, so that's why I was trying to make some notes. But if you can email those to me, we can do that. But that's kind of the point of first and second reading, and that's a good point, Mr. Ray.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. And so for clarification, then, rather than voting on this, approving this version, I may make a motion or that we table this until we can have further discussion.
Well, as a point of order, we do have a motion and a second. We'll have to act on this motion and second before any other motions are made.
That is correct.
True.
I would also like to comment, I do agree with transparency. I felt like several ideas there were strong, but there were a few too many also to consider. But I'm also concerned or questioning which would be in regulation versus policy. And so again, I would support the idea of it going back in between first and second reading to look at policy committee, for policy committee to take a look.
Is the policy committee meeting between now and when would we be voting on this? In August? Mm-hmm. Is the policy committee meeting between now and then?
I believe there is a July meeting, I believe. Yes.
Okay. I have one additional question, but.
Well, I wanted to continue my comments early, so I want to kind of just One of the things that I think is lost in a lot of this discussion is just talking about the overall justification, the reason, and what this whole library policy seeks to accomplish. First of all, revising a library policy is a reasonable endeavor. It's something that boards need to do, that the community wants a board to do, that parents in the community are asking a board to do. You know, there's a lot of concern, and I've seen a lot of comments saying, you know, about the placing the ultimate authority over library materials in the hand of a school board. You know, the school board is the elected representatives of the community. The board are the representatives of the community and are best positioned to understand the values of the community. Parents across the country are asking their elected representatives to be involved in the library policy. It's true. That's why a lot of parents come out and vote. That's why there are votes. That's why people are elected. They want their elected representatives to be involved in the process. It is a collaborative process, but they want their elected representatives to be involved in the process. So a couple of observations from this policy and some of the changes that it makes, or some of the things that it addresses. It protects from obscene and pervasively vulgar materials that shock the conscience of the Cyfair community. That's a Supreme Court standard. That's what parents in this community are looking for this district to take leadership on. The selection materials can include input from parents, community members, teachers, librarians. Selected, as we've discussed, and I'm sure there might be some revisions on it, selected library materials be made public for an extended period of time for review and comment. That's adding transparency, not decreasing. If there's any interest in removing, this is something that strikes at the heart of a lot of the comments, and it's actually spelled out in the language of the proposed policy. If there's any interest in removing material, there are protections that prohibit removal on the basis of ideas or personal beliefs of the author. So there's protections in place, but this is also a library policy that many of the parents and the stakeholders of the Cyfair community are asking their board to do, and it's something that we need to do. So I consider all these changes common sense and reasonable policy changes, and we very well may look into more changes as a result of the policy committee. That's it.
You have another question, Julie?
I do, thank you. Based upon the court case that Justin is just mentioned, based upon the Supreme Court decision in PICO, library materials that are already in the library collection cannot be removed based solely on the ideas contained in the material or the personal background of the author or characters in the material. Those are for library materials that are already in the library. My question is, can library materials be excluded from the acquisition list based on the personal background of the author or characters in the material? I think the policy needs to be clear about that. Can library materials be excluded from the acquisition list based upon the ideas contained in the material? We've already seen this board vote to remove chapters from textbooks based upon facts that some members deem to be controversial ideas, such as climate change or vaccines. What's to prevent the board from voting to remove books from the acquisition list due to a mere reference to climate change, vaccines, COVID, etc.? I'll leave it at that.
Any other questions? So what I'm hearing consensus-wise is that you have some changes you'd like to get made. We can then look at those in the policy committee in July and take those under advisement. The only comment I'll say is, go ahead.
My comments were after first vote. We typically have first reading and second reading. So I want us to vote tonight. I'm interested in seeing transparency added in some of the items, but I definitely want the policy. I would like it to keep moving forward. And Marnie, could you address, is that exactly the process of why there's first and second reading? Can you tell me what that typically looks like?
Yeah, it is the purpose of having the first and second reading. We bring the first reading, we get feedback. If I get feedback from the board that they would like to see additional language or different language, we now have the benefit of a policy committee that we can also utilize, and then we bring those changes for the second reading. So that is how the practice of the policy development is supposed to work.
With that, I'm prepared to vote on the policy.
All right, I was just informed that the motion is incorrect in the board books, what they're just one at a time. So we are now voting on only 8D1, EFB local instruction materials. May I get a vote, please, by raising the right hand to vote for this policy? It is 5, and then all those against? And 1 against, Holly. Now I'll get a motion for 8D2.
5 or 6.
Or 6, 4, and 1 against. Did I say 5?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't count. 8D2. May I get a motion, please? I'll just make the motion.
I move, go ahead. I move that the board approve on first reading, policy GKD local, correct? Thank you. GKD local, community relations, non-school use of school facilities.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any questions on this policy? Seeing none, let's signify by raising your right hand if you would like to approve this. And that is unanimous. 8D3, FDA, admissions, introduction, transmission, inter-district transfers, revised. May I get a motion?
I move that the board approve on first reading policy FDA local admissions, interdistrict transfers revised.
May I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by raising the right hand. And that's unanimous. 8E, the board consider approving on second reading additions, revisions, and deletions of the following policies. 8E1, DEC, compensation benefits, leaves and absences. 8E2, DFBB, term contracts. 8E3, EED, interstructural arrangements, student services. And 8E4, EHAB, basic instruction program, required instructions elementary. May I get a motion to approve all 4 of these items?
I move that the board approve on second reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies DEC local, compensations and benefits, leaves and absences revised, DFBB local, term contracts non-renewal revised, EED local, instructional arrangements, student schedules revised, and EHAB local, basic instructional program required instruction in elementary revised.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any question or discussion on this item? Seeing none, may I signify by raising the right hand. You approve? That is unanimous. 8F, the board consider approving the 2024-2025 Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Student Code of Conduct. May I get a motion, please?
I move that the board approve the 2024-2025 Cypress-Fairbanks ISD Student Code of Conduct.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll now take a vote. All those in favor, signify by raising the right hand. I believe it's unanimous. 8G, board consider nominations for Region 4, Position F, large district member seat. I did not hear from anyone. Anyone like to put their name on this list? Okay, we can always bring it up another board meeting as well, if you'd like to show interest. 8H, the board to consider a level 1 complaint filed by an employee regarding the adoption of science instructional materials. This item was discussed in closed session 551.071. We do have 19 speakers, so that will only unfortunately be 1 minute each. Our first speaker is Jennifer Chanette.
And just so everybody knows, I've already received 2 harassing emails to my work email since I spoke tonight. Holmquist, Foster, Hahn, and Walker, those were my high school science teachers. I would never profess to know more about science than them, unless I myself had a degree in that field. Natalie wants to remove 13 chapters from our science textbooks, books that have been approved by staff and the State Board of Ed. She took it upon herself to decide which chapters should be removed. Well, she had help from Monica Dean. I guess Monica double majored in college in library science and maybe biology. Natalie and Todd want our students to be critical thinkers. That doesn't happen when you take chapters away. Natalie asked why we can't just write our own curriculum. She can save that for the Christian charter school she works for, Newman International Academy. They filed for incorporation as a nonprofit in Florida in 2022, but they are based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Natalie is listed as one of the 6 owners. It all smells pretty fishy. It makes me think of pyramid schemes and shady dealings, but it's all in the name of Jesus, so I guess it's okay.
Christina Milam.
I am a parent of 2 children in CFISD, and I care about the quality of their education. It's why we moved to this district. I am disheartened by last month's decision by 6 members of this board to censor critical topics that are essential for students' understanding of the world. What message does it send to young minds when controversial subjects are erased from the educational landscape rather than empowering students in their pursuit of knowledge? The removal of vaccine-related content is deeply troubling. Vaccines have saved countless lives throughout history. This is not an opinion, it's a fact. Suppressing this information and making decisions based on misinformation undermines scientific progress, jeopardizes public health, and endangers lives. I urge you once again to reverse this decision and move to approve the textbook selected by the highly trained educators without modification. Our children deserve accurate information to become informed citizens. Thank you.
Brian Henry.
Last month, this board voted to censor textbooks. Mark Twain said that history never repeats itself, but it does often rhyme. The tune you're playing isn't new. History textbooks are full of partisan hacks, conspiracy theorists, and religious zealots. History is also a stage, but we can't pick the production we're born into. We can, however, choose the part we play. I believe some of you privately feel you have followed a particular trustee down a road you wish you hadn't. But perhaps you're too stubborn or embarrassed to turn around. Don't be. It would be more embarrassing to stay the course. Just turn around. Listen to your teachers. Don't allow yourselves to be cast as villains. Choose to play a different part. Your community will commend you. Approve the textbooks in their entirety. Doing so will be a win for this board, this district, its teachers, and its students.
Veronica Soka.
This coming school year, I will be going into 8th grade and soon high school. Me and many other students in the district are expecting a complete education to prepare us for the rest of our lives. That means that I was upset to hear that sections of our textbooks are being removed. Removing these chapters will be taking whole chunks out of resources that students use to learn. There are many downsides to this decision, including that students will easily be able to learn about things that will allow them to make positive differences in the world. It will also be forcing already busy teachers to find new ways to teach these subjects. Please do not remove important topics like climate change and vaccines. CFISD's goal is to lead every student into success. For that, we need a complete and uncensored education.
Nina Sainz.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Nina Sainz. I'm a parent and a sustainability and climate expert working in the energy industry. With a spirit of collaboration, I'm going to share some industry facts that might compel you to reconsider your perspective on how we teach sustainability and climate in Cyfair. I would love nothing more than to discuss the science, but alas, my time is short. That said, I'm happy to support those conversations at another time. On your handout, and forgive me, I'm clearly not a graphic designer, you'll see a list of the 26 Fortune 500 companies that are headquartered right here in Houston, and some statistics about their sustainability programs. I don't have time to read the stats, but the takeaway is that companies, investors, and government institutions are already well into the effort to transition to a low-carbon future. Put plainly, when we work our climate education down to the bare minimum, we put our students at a completely avoidable disadvantage against their peers as they enter the workforce. I know that every single person I'm so sorry. I know that every single person up on that dais and here in the audience wants the best future for our kids, so let's work together to provide that.
Martin Skoda.
Houston is Space City. We might as well be called Science City. We have NASA, we have the Medical Center, we have nationally renowned universities and museums. And so censoring science is a bad look for us, especially in the region in which we live. I'm a parent to 2 children attending Cyfair schools, and I would like to have my parental rights respected. We have textbooks, materials that have been vetted by the state and vetted by our science teachers and bought by parents and people in our communities. And it is our right as parents to have all of those materials available to our children. You guys cited conspiracy theory, science denial, and fear as reasons to censor these books. And yet you have so many excellent resources in Houston if you ever have questions about science. Please respect science and the textbook process. Please release those materials in their entirety to the students of Cypher ISD.
Lauren Long.
Board members, I'm a CFISD parent, 26-year district resident, and 30-year petroleum engineer. In watching the hearing of Ms. Royer's complaint last Thursday night, I was amazed at the legalistic responses to her plea from some on this board standing behind a rigid, self-serving reading of the law to justify censorship. Is that the kind of leaders you want to be, playing the tired old because I said so card? I'm here to urge you to take a step back, pause the censorship, and do what you should have done all along. Consult with the teaching experts in this district on what should be in those science textbooks. You should take the time to listen and learn from our teachers. What this district needs are true leaders who are open-minded, teachable, and courageous enough to change your minds. What we don't need are culture warriors jamming their fanatical, quasi-political, political agenda down our children's throats, driven by fear and paternalism. Now is the time for each of you to step up and be the humble servant leaders this community needs. Thank you.
Steele Center.
One reason that has been put forth for the censorship of chapters is that the instructional materials must present a balanced view, and the trustees of this board claim to speak on behalf of all parents. But is it each parent has a voice for their own children, or am I to concede my voice because I say the educational experts in each field should be trusted to provide appropriate instructional materials for my child's classes? I moved my family into this school district 5 years ago by choice for the opportunities and supports that were available and offered. I have followed every opportunity to choose to opt in or opt out to allow my children access to materials for their education. This includes the planning of their course loads. As a parent, I voiced my support for my children taking appropriate academic classes and electives, including extra science and CTE courses. In the course of censoring instructional materials, the trustees have diminished the scope and sequence of approved and appropriate materials and threatened to damage the quality of my child's education. As a student of health sciences preparing to pursue a medical career, his education is now at risk. All but one of the textbooks being censored is an elective or CTE course. Please return the chapters. Thank you.
Amanda Cantwell.
My name is Amanda Cantwell. I have a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Science with a minor in Psychology and a Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction. I've been teaching science in the state of Texas for 15 years, 12 of which have been teaching physics from on-level to AP dual credit here in CFISD. During this time, I've been involved in the curriculum writing projects with the goal of improving first-time instruction in physics classrooms across the district. I feel that some clarification can be given to a statement made during the June 13 work session, where it was said that maybe that's what happened. The way science is being taught is maybe a little bit more about phenomenon and opinion instead of facts and data. Phenomena can be defined as observable events that occur in a natural or design system. The high school science TEKS adopted in 2021 specify that science is taught in such a way that learners are investigating these observable events and that the teacher is a facilitator in tying the observations to established scientific principles. For example, students in physics might look at a collision between two objects to investigate conservation in systems. To clarify, using phenomenon-based instruction does not mean that we are teaching science based on opinion. Science education is still very much grounded in the usage of data and facts. We are just using research-verified best pedagogical practice in student-centered classrooms to allow learners to make meaning from data and facts. Thank you.
Debbie Blackshear.
Board meeting after board meeting, I have heard this board talk about the value of our teachers. In Cyfair, we employ the best of the best, from the superintendent to the cabinet board down to the classroom, and to just dismiss all the work that these teachers put in to reviewing the material is just inexcusable. They are the professionals. They are the ones that we need to listen to. And I will tell you that you can't have it both ways. Say you value the teacher and then you just point your finger at them or dismiss them with comments. It took a lot of courage for Ms. Royer to come and file that grievance, and I really applaud that she did so. But we have to protect the education of our children. We have to give them the opportunity to become critical thinkers. And if everyone on this board read every textbook and review, then all I have to say is you need to get a life.
John Rosenthal.
Thank you for again allowing me this time. Now I rise to urge you to reverse what I consider a grossly irresponsible removal of sections from state-approved science books. And I decry the opaque and underhanded tactics that were employed by 6 of you to remove those chapters. As a science-based career professional and a state rep who values and supports public education, I'm appalled. As far as I know, none of our board members has a background in science professionally or as a science teacher. And yet 5 of you voted with Trustee Blassingame, who selected textbook sessions to admit by apparently phoning a friend who didn't even review them, all without public comment or private or prior notice. If you did not actually violate the Open Meetings and Records Act requirements, you certainly subverted the intent of that law.
Please wrap up.
I'm sure 6 of you will ignore my request to reinstate, and so I'll just say keep doing what you're doing. The find out part will come later.
Jared Barton. Jared Burton. Mackenzie Bach.
There we go. Okay. Good evening, board. My name is Jared Burden, and I'm a student in Katy ISD, another Greater Houston area school district that has come under fire due to book banning and anti-diversity sentiments. School is primarily an educational institution, but it is a social one at the same time. They are interlinked, and like you learn in math, what you do to one side always has an effect on the other. By compromising these students' educations through censoring factual textbook information because you don't like what it has to say, you are not only hurting their learning, but you are also stunting their growth as people. The introduction of new ideals is what sparks growth in people, either changing their beliefs or reinforcing their old ones. No matter what, access to these differing perspectives is integral to this process. I urge the board to reinstate these textbook chapters and to cease your attacks on intellectual freedom. If your morals and your constituents won't stop you from maintaining these bans, please let what is happening in Katy ISD be your motivation. Students are entitled to the right to read. Let's keep this childish behavior on the playground and out of this room. Thank you.
Mackenzie Bach.
Good evening. I'm a mother of 2, and I have a PhD in epidemiology. I'm here to voice my concern over the censoring of science textbook materials related to infectious diseases and vaccines. I applaud the board's desire to promote critical thinking among our students. However, censoring these materials will only dampen their ability to think critically and will harm them in the long run as they learn how to function in society. Children get sick. They deserve to understand how and why they get sick. They deserve to understand why it's important to wash their hands, why they get shots at the doctor's office, and why they should wear bug spray before playing outside. Everyone from the governor to the cafeteria workers and school nurses follow policies that help keep us safe from infectious diseases. It's important for children to understand the reasons behind these policies. Equipping them with this knowledge now will help them make more informed decisions in the future. I implore you to not allow politics to dim the educational
Time has
opportunities for
expired.
our children. Please adopt these materials in full. Thank you.
Austin McGowan.
I want to talk to you about how a book goes through the State Board of Education approval process. First, a publisher submits the book, and then it is open to the public in its entirety to review. Any factual errors or vagueness, as Ms. Blassingame is concerned with, are pointed out to the publishers, and they make changes, or they defend those statements in court in a due process public hearing. By saying that these books are biased or the information is not factual, you're basically committing defamation. You're looking Nat Geo in the face and saying, even though everyone else in the state has already agreed that this book is fine, we don't think it is. And it's going to be a very easy case for them to win if they want to, because the whole State Board of Education has already said that their book is okay. This is just another way to open us up to more and more lawsuits and toss us more and more money. My prepared statements were originally about the policy itself, but I feel like we need to highlight how much this board is opening us to lawsuits, because they're going to start coming, and Disney owns Nat Geo. You don't want to mess with the mouse.
Christina Woods.
Dr. Blasingame, you wanted to slash science curriculum but couldn't be bothered to do your own research, so you farmed it out to Monica Dean, who's not a district employee or an educator, but she shares your Christian supremacist views. Then you said you did read all the books and it took you a month. But wait, then you said you didn't even have access to the books until May, or was it March? Dr. Macias said at the June work session that you did have access to the textbooks because once they were edited by the state, they were available online. You said that you couldn't even access those links as of that meeting, yet the curriculum was supposed to be approved by the April board meeting, although you delayed it until May. Anybody confused? Why are you disputing Ms. Royer's complaint when you've got zero proof of the science-denying nonsense you claim in the textbooks? Humans are bad? Where did that come from? And where is the support for teachers that you promised in your campaign? Oh, and science is not an all-sides subject. That is the racist state CRT law, and as of today, science is not included in that law. Stop blaming Dr. Macias, the state, the curriculum companies, and the UN for your sloppy efforts to rob our kids of learning science as required by the text. Take responsibility for eliminating those chapters. You're anti-science and anti-public education. Own it or reinstate the chapters.
Janet Combs. Go ahead and turn the mic on the podium. That's it. There you go.
Thank you. I haven't done this before. Okay, I'm Janet Combs. I'm a geoscientist, degrees from LSU, U of H, UT Austin. I have 50 years experience in the global petroleum industry and some in the groundwater business. I've lived in the Cypress-Fairbanks for 29 years, so I've paid a lot of fees for y'all. But I'm an active volunteer in the Houston Science Museum now, and I'm also active with the Houston Geological Society, especially the Educational Outreach Committee, which is active in many STEM events across the city. I want to express my strong disagreement and that of multiple HGS members who could not come tonight, but we disagree with the elimination from the curriculum of 3 chapters of the Earth Science textbook. Earth Systems and Cycles, one chapter, is basic to the understanding of geology, from groundwater and petroleum to local rivers and drainage. Mineral and energy resources is critical for energy transition knowledge.
Your time has expired. Please wrap up.
Especially for the upcoming need for rare minerals and climate change, science needs to be taught to everybody.
Sarah Cummings.
LeCompte spoke about vaccines and autism. I'm a licensed psychologist and peer-reviewed, published scientific researcher. LeCompte owns a pest control company. He questioned whether vaccines save lives, unequivocally. When was the last time you had smallpox? Never, thanks to a vaccine. LeCompte said that the childhood vaccine schedule includes over 100 vaccines. It's 30. Either he lied or he can't count. Worst of all, LeCompte implied that vaccines cause autism. That myth has been thoroughly debunked for decades. Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder that cannot be acquired by anything, including vaccines. Fear-mongering places the public, especially those who are unable to be vaccinated, at great risk. You are welcome to be laughably wrong in your personal life, but from the dais, in your role as a trustee, you may not be so flagrantly, dangerously wrong. It puts our entire district at risk. Do better.
Cleveland Lang.
Turn it off.
It was on.
There you go. All right. One of the things that, as an educator, you're passionate about what you do and when you're in front of your students. And as been teaching for 27 years, my children come home still and say, my teacher said. And if we're not going to give the teachers the tools for them to be experts in what they're teaching and giving to our kids, then we're setting them up for failure. Smallpox, measles, meningitis. We all know back in the day how meningitis affected many of our children. But now that we forgot about it, we said, okay, well, we don't need to learn anymore. Our students still need to learn. Our kids need to learn. So by the time they get to that higher education, they'll be able to have that conversation and build from that learning and not wondering, well, what did I miss when I was in K through 12?
Lisa Buka.
Policy EFA states that the Board of Trustees' authority is for curriculum and instructional program, not for instructional materials. Instructional materials are to be selected by professionals, not by the Board of Trustees. You violated your own policy and then somehow get to be the authority on an appeal about it. That's rich. You're not experts in these fields. 3 of you allegedly don't even have bachelor's degrees. How would that make you a district professional? Todd doesn't know that 30 is not close to 100. Natalie doesn't know the difference between sexual harassment and discussing a book. So no, your censorship will not stand, especially in a court of law. There isn't money in the budget for your foolishness. Reverse course immediately.
On item HA, may I get a motion?
Yes. I move that the board uphold the level 1 grievance and reinstate all the omitted chapters from the board's adoption of the 2024-2025 instructional materials.
Hearing a motion, may I get a second? May I get a second?
I actually, according to Robert's Rules of Order, a second is not required. Procedure in small boards, Section 4919, in a board meeting where there are not more than about a dozen members, the rules governing such meetings are different in the following respects. Number 2, motions do not need to be seconded.
In this board, our operating practices, we've always had a motion and a second. That's what I will share.
In this, may I please, in this, the board's practice has always been that the board has adopted instructional materials recommended by educators in our district.
That's, think about, it's not germane, but.
Which rules of Robert's Rule, where, I've asked for this twice, that the Robert's Rules of Order that we are operating under be posted on the district website. They are still not there.
Yeah, we got it by email.
They're an addendum to the board operating procedures, so I believe they're posted.
No, they're not there.
Mr. President, as a point of order, is it your ruling from the chair that a motion requires a second?
That is, customary of this board for the last years that I've been here as well. So we wouldn't need a second for this motion.
So the president of the board has ruled and the presiding officer has ruled that a second is required. If anybody wants to challenge the ruling of the chair, they may do so, but that is the ruling of the chair as it stands.
Not getting a second on this motion. May I have another motion, please?
Is this
8H.
the subject 8H?
We can have discussion before we have a motion.
No.
No, you didn't
May
motion
not.
a second.
We're upholding a. It's the decision on the hearing. Yeah, I'm confused how to say it right here because it's not a.
I'll make the motion. I make a motion to deny the level 1 complaint filed by the employee Arroyo regarding the adoption of science instructional materials.
May I get a second?
I second.
Are there any questions?
Get some. We need order. We need order.
I have some questions.
You need to please be quiet, or we will take a break, and we'll continue on without you.
We have a motion second. I'd like to go ahead and have discussion.
Questions? Yes.
Let me go ahead and address a couple of things real quick.
Once again, please, order. If you can't do this, we will clear the gallery, not a problem. Please be quiet. If you have questions, you had plenty of time. We gave you ample opportunity. We were quiet for you. Please be respectful.
So first, the formal stuff, and I've seen a lot of discussion about some of the formal discussions we had at last Thursday. So the grievance, and we can't discount the formal basis of the grievance, okay? The grievance is based on the assertion that the school board exceeded its authority by voting to remove chapters when approving textbooks. The grievance alleges the board violated the EFA local by not relying on district staff to select and acquire instructional materials. When pressed, in the discussion last Thursday, the grievant conceded that EFA local does give oversight and ultimate approval of instructional materials to the board without having to consult with any other party, such as district staff. So the concession eliminated the grievance written formal basis for the grievance. So when we're discussing this whole oversight, this isn't some board flex, and this isn't some flex.
Please let him speak. Do not talk. Do not address the board unless you're in public comment or agenda comments, please.
So you may disagree, but the truth of the matter is that was not some sort of power flex by the board. That was in response to the formal written complaint by the grievant, which said the board did not have the authority to do so, which it clearly did in EFA, and the grievant even agreed with that during her oral arguments and her attorney, okay? So that's the reason why that whole discussion took place, because that was the formal grievance and the formal assertion, okay? But in oral arguments, the grievant did pivot to a different basis, claiming that the removal of textbook chapters restricted her access to materials to teach, okay? This is a more straightforward grievance, and it does merit a discussion. So my take on that is very simple and straightforward. Throughout this entire process, district administrators have been clear that with the removal of these chapters, teachers will receive the resources they need to teach to the TEKS. This board has no desire to ask teachers to do without adequate resources, and we're committed to providing those, okay? That's never been an issue. This board has asked if the teachers will have the resources they need in light of the acceptance of this new policy. So, and here's the thing. Look, we're all people here, and as a personal note, I can sympathize. I've been in employment.
Please do not address the board unless you're in public comment or agenda comments.
As a personal side, I can sympathize. And I've been in employment situations where I've not had the resources I need to do my job. It's frustrating. But this is not going to be one of those situations. Okay, guys? Many of you know I'm married to a teacher. I have 3 kids in the district. And I'm fully invested in our educators having the resources that they need. And we'll make sure, whether this grievance prevails or this grievance is denied, we will make sure teachers have the resources they need to teach to the TEKS and educate the children of Cypher. So, with that, as I mentioned, I made the motion, and I do support denying the grievance and letting the approved materials stand as amended.
Other questions? I have. Go ahead, Natalie.
Dr. Macias, would there be, based upon this decision, a diminished scope and sequence that will be taught to students of CFISD?
So it is our job to ensure that we teach the TEKS. And so we will make sure that we provide materials to adequately provide the TEKS. Some of the material is the books are 10 years old, but we have pulled other materials from other textbooks and still looking for other material to be able to cover the TEKS.
So I guess I'll ask this question. You already said it. Is there any curriculum or any TEKS that are being removed? Yes or no?
By not having, I'm sorry,
We pass this policy, yes or no, will there be any curriculum or any TEKS that'll be removed?
We have to teach the TEKS.
So no, none will be removed?
No, we have to teach the TEKS. None will be removed.
Okay, so no TEKS or no scope and sequence will be removed. Okay, then,
Please.
Dr. Macias, is there an entire chapter on vaccines in the biology textbook that teaches all of the required TEKS? And do you have staff ready that could share? I believe it's investigation 12, if I remember, because we removed 13. But can you come and share about what vaccines and what content is taught in that investigation prior to the one, so I think it's 12. I'd like to know about polio, are those things covered? Can we please have a survey or an overview of that chapter? Every TEK is related in there in a teaching on vaccines. Do you know which chapter I'm discussing? I may be able to, do you have your content expert here?
I do have my content expert here. However, the chapter 12 was not one of the ones that.
Or investigate, no, it's the one
Investigation.
prior. Okay, is there a chapter prior to the one that was removed that absolutely discusses vaccines in great detail? Many of the ones that have been mentioned tonight, and teaches every single TEK related to vaccines that is still left in our textbook for our students in the school district.
Jamie, can you come forward, please? I'm sorry, I don't have the information for investigation, but she may know.
I apologize, that's a complex question, but I think it's very important because that is part of why that chapter was not necessary to teach the TEKS. I think there was a chapter quite thorough on it first. It's an investigation, I believe it's called. Thank you, in the biology textbook.
Please,
Can you talk
please.
about?
We have officers in the back. If you need help, need assistance, they are more than
Thank you
happy
for
to
coming forward. Can you please tell us the contents of the investigation 12, I believe it is?
It's 13.
Oh, thank you.
So it's called Investigation 13 in this particular publisher. It covers TEKS 5D. The student is expected to compare the structures of viruses to cells and explain how viruses spread and cause disease. It also covers TEK 12A. The student is expected to analyze the interactions, sorry, I'm not reading glasses, that occur among systems that perform the function of regulation, nutrient absorption, reproduction, and defense from injury or illness in animals. So those are the content TEKS. We also have scientific engineering practice TEKS, which are new to secondary science, coming next year as well. So those are not included in that. But this chapter is wrapped around a phenomenon, as Amanda Cantwell spoke to as well. And that phenomenon is the challenge of disease. And so the chapter focuses on the defense against injury, as the TEK mentions, and it also works, goes around the TEK of the viruses. So the whole chapter itself is focused on the challenge of disease.
So those TEKS remain in the textbook that's going to be taught?
Correct. I'm only looking at investigation 13, but those are the TEKS that are covered within that investigation.
So all the TEKS related to vaccines and protection of that phenomena and the new TEK are covered in the existing chapters that still remain in the textbook?
They may be pieces of it, but so the book is built on being, it wrapped around so that it builds. So our standards aren't just like a one and done situation.
My question, when I made a phone call to, long before the vote, and first of all, I did have access to every link of every textbook, Linda, is that correct? I was asking last week about once new changes from the State Board of Ed, and you clarified and were correct that the links that I reviewed were actually the ones that had the State Board changes in. So we did have access to all the links. And then in the pursuant discussion, we were able to clarify that all the TEKS were taught in the chapter prior to the one that we were or the investigation prior to the one that was recommended to be removed. It went further than the TEKS to cover COVID and other topics. Is that accurate, what I was told on the phone?
Is that correct, Jamie? Go ahead.
Vaccines themselves aren't necessarily addressed in an on-level biology classroom. However, most of the time, students have questions because when we're talking about viruses and we're talking about bacterial infections.
Right, my question's clear. I called and I found out information. Were all the TEKS that needed to be taught on that topics in this chapter still remaining in the book without that extra one that was asked to be removed by this policy, this action?
For those two standards that I gave you, 5D and 12A, there are pieces of it in other investigations chapters. We would have to, as a curriculum writing team, we would have to ensure that the SEEPs, those scientific engineering practices, were captured correctly and making sure that that standard was, or those standards are addressed. We do cover pieces of these TEKS in other investigations, correct? But there are pieces that we could potentially be missing when we take a deep dive into these.
Is the polio vaccine covered in what's currently left in the textbook?
I'm sorry?
Is the polio vaccine covered in there already? Does it discuss polio, what's left in the textbook?
The COVID vaccine is mentioned
I'm talking about the chapter prior, the chapter that is about, I don't have I can't pull up right here on this computer the textbook. So my question is Linda, do you remember our discussion?
I can pull it.
I don't think you weren't there. I think you weren't at the office at the time. It was someone else. So I feel like I'm so sorry. I don't want to put you at a disadvantage in answering. You've done a great job of answering about the TEKS.
Dr. Blassingame, let me pull up the chapter because the chapters, the links are still alive in the.
Yes, I just can't get to my email right here on this computer.
Yeah, let me pull it. And that way I can let Jamie look at it. Biology. Jamie, do you want to go? See if you can pull from there.
Do you need my glasses? Seriously. 1.1.5. Oh, this is great.
Totally understand.
Wow, that's so clear. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So we're looking at the chapter that is included?
So you're looking at the chapter before the one that you removed. Is that correct? Chapter 12, investigation 12.
Yes.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, not my computer. Trying to. Not touch screen. Hey, Jay. Why am I? Okay, so you're asking about investigation 12, the one prior?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Can you please tell us the content, the different vaccines, the TEKS, everything that's covered in there? I'm pretty sure all but the next chapter really was just COVID. This one was almost every vaccine that's been mentioned as eliminated.
So in chapter 12, it does address TEK 12A, which was the second standard that I read to you. And this one is focusing more along on like the other part of the standard, so the function of regulation, nutrient absorption, reproduction, and then I'm still scrolling. And that's it. It does not cover the defense from injury or illness.
I'm sorry, can you go into the content area, like the lessons, and talk about, see what vaccines are covered in the chapters.
There are no vaccines covered in investigation 12, because it's not addressing viruses and it's not addressing defense from injury or illness, the illness part.
Natalie, I'm not sure where we're going with this, but.
Okay. Yes.
To get to the point.
Sorry. Thank you. I do apologize. I apologize for having you have to be on the spot about that, but the information is, I'll have to go back, and I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage because I don't have it here on the screen, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Investigation 12 is the one on animal systems?
Animal systems, correct.
Yeah, Investigation 12 is on animal systems. I can read.
All right, we're going to move along since the relevance has kind of moved off. Now I'm going to take a vote, all of those in favor.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
Please. Thank you. To the point that Justin made about the grievance, reading the grievance as written by Ms. Royer, I don't see that she was questioning the board's ultimate responsibility. She says, I'm filing this grievance for a violation of policy EFA local, which states the board shall rely on district professional staff to select and acquire instructional materials.
May I answer that, Mr. President? The paragraph right before that said, nowhere during our curriculum review was there ever mentioned the possible removal of the parts of the material. During the meeting, Dr. Blasingame mentioned rewriting the TEKS at the local level. I do not believe they have the authority to do that.
That is correct. The board cannot rewrite TEKS. TEKS are written by the State Board of Education.
The assertion, we don't need to relitigate this, but the assertion was the fact that the board went outside of the scope of its authority by not accepting completely the recommendation and violated EFA local by doing so.
No, rewriting the TEKS are written by the State Board of Education, not the board. These are two different aspects.
She said, nowhere during the curriculum review was there ever mentioned the possible removal of the parts of the material. I do not believe they have the authority to do that.
You skipped the sentence. During the meeting, Dr. Blasingame mentions rewriting the TEKS at a local level. I do not believe they have the authority to do that, rewrite the TEKS.
That's a miscommunication. She was saying that, what we were saying is the TEKS were going to be covered by those chapters because state law requires it. We cannot deviate from that.
Correct.
That's the issue. They're not going to miss the TEKS are going to remain. And so what we were saying was that even though that chapter may be omitted, the students are still going to receive content that's going to cover the TEKS so they don't miss the TEKS, period.
So as I read the complaint that violates the policy EFA local because the board does not rely on district personnel instruction, we do not have approval to do this. So that's the decision we're making on, and that's what the vote is on at this point. We're now going to take a vote on this matter. You may not talk, Mr. Covey. You are out of order. You are out of order. You're out of order. We're out of order. You're out of order, Mr. Covey. You're out of order, Mr. Covey. What? What? There's been a motion, there's been a second. I'll take a vote. All in favor, by raising your right hand. All those against? We have one against, 6-4. 8A, 8I, the board now consider making determination that good cause not exists for required by law for the individuals listed here with respect to resign their employment contracts. This item was discussed in closed session pursuant to section 551.074. May I get a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Trustees render a finding under Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 249.17D, that good cause did not exist as required by Texas Education Code Sections 21.105C, 21.160C, or 21.210C for the individuals listed to resign their respective employment contracts and notify these employees in accordance with the law that the district is submitting a complaint to the State Board of Educator Certification for contract abandonment.
May I get a second?
Second.
We'll now take a vote. All those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. That is unanimous. 8J, the board will consider a level 4 appeal of level 3 decision. This will be disclosed in closed session this evening. The following addendum was posted to June meeting. I'm sorry, did we already discuss that? AJ, I apologize. May I get a motion on HJ, please?
I move that the board uphold the level 3 decision made by the administration.
May I get a second?
Second.
We'll now take a vote. All those in favor, signify by raising your right hand. It is unanimous. The following addendum was added to June meeting on Friday, June 14, 2014. 1A, the board will consider appeal decision denying inter-district student transfer request. This item will be disclosed in closed session following tonight's meeting. We'll now proceed to information items. Board committee updates. We are 3 speakers. First one is Tara Cummings.
Our 6 Christian nationalist extremist trustees campaigned in part on transparency, yet we have these new board committees which utterly lack transparency. When do the committees meet? Who attends them? Where are the minutes? What are they addressing? No one knows, even the people on the committee. That doesn't sound very transparent to me. I personally just filed a public information request for dates, attendees, and minutes of all board committee meetings to date, as well as all trustees' personal notes and communications to and from trustees and any other individual regarding board committee business. The district has quoted me $72 to obtain that information. Another public information request cost me almost $100. I know many other community members have dipped into their bank accounts in pursuit of public information from this board and district. Community members should not have to submit formal public information requests to receive information that ought to be readily available to us, and we certainly shouldn't have to shell out cold hard cash to simply stay informed. I formally request that for all board committees, the following be posted on the district website and updated in a timely manner: meeting dates, times, and locations, attendees, agendas and minutes, and video recordings of all the meetings, just as occurs here. I mean, if nothing nefarious is happening in those meetings, why not be fully transparent? You promised you would be if you got elected. It's time to make good.
Christina Milan.
The Teacher Retention Committee, an ad hoc committee of the CFISD board, was, quote, created to review ways to enhance hiring processes, to attract exceptional educators and address teacher burnout, with a specific emphasis on supporting special education staff. The committee will also explore strategies to improve outreach and in-reach initiatives to encourage our students to consider teaching as their career path, end quote. And yet, last month, 6 board members voted to remove 4 chapters from a textbook used for the teaching and training CTE. Of particular note, Chapter 18 was seemingly removed due to a perception of bias, DEI, and its impact in the classroom. Educators are entrusted with fostering growth and creating safe spaces for all students. By ensuring access to quality resources, we empower learners regardless of their background, abilities, or socioeconomic status to ensure they receive equitable education. Inclusive teaching is the antithesis of bias. It is about adapting to meet individual needs, whether it's accommodating learning styles, providing language support, or celebrating cultural differences. The CFISD student body is diverse. Embracing this diversity creates an environment where every student can feel valued and heard. Diversity is a strength. When there is a shortage of teachers entering the profession and we struggle to retain them, why is this board unwilling to equip them with all the tools they need? We don't just need them to succeed, we want them to thrive. And on an added note, when my 9-year-old tells me that she wants to be a teacher, my heart hurts for her. Teachers are not respected in this district, and it is sad. So do better. Thank you.
Why aren't all 5 board committees listed on the agenda to expect a report out? As Julie warned, this has become governance without transparency. Did the Academic Safety, Vision, and Planning Committee meet before censoring textbooks? Has the Finance, Audit, and Technology Committee suggested how to let parents know they are losing their bus service? Or is it just going to happen when they register in August? What decisions are being made in the dark without public knowledge? Do these committees meet on a regular basis? Is it published when they are meeting so I can hold my elected officials accountable? This lack of transparency is a problem, and you need to fix it.
Are there any board committee updates this time?
I'm bringing an update from the Ad Hoc Teacher Recruitment and Retention Committee. And in the initial meeting, we did a SWOT analysis for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and we pulled out opportunities that we've been exploring over a series of meetings. I want to thank the administration. They've been very on top of really acting to make sure that we have the right data to decide and to explore opportunities. The opportunities included benefits and values of the profession, teachers as ambassadors of the profession, external survey query, like those who left our district, why they left, population trends versus the data, rehire of Title I, rehire and retire in Title I, looking at different incentives across the system for hard to reach and hard to teach places, marketing campaign, training and support, and calendar and daily schedule as items that were opportunities. We also had a teacher vacancy task force report that looked at what teachers shared as critical and had cited in the study. Compensation, of course, came up, and that was the increase of overall compensation, enhancing total compensation package and providing incentives for hard-to-staff areas. Training and support were the next area, improving pipeline and pre-service preparation, and expanding training and support for teacher mentorship and teacher leadership opportunities, and then working conditions. What came through was demonstrating value and respect for teacher time and school-wide culture and discipline support. There was also teacher time study data that was shared. We had a teacher time study capstone report, and we're still getting more data. The tasks, looking at some of the issues that were cited are tasks outside of providing direct instruction to students, current challenges and areas in need of support related to non-instructional activities, and key difference in perception across and within instructional groups were seen. So there's more data that will be shared around that. So the minutes of the last meeting, given on June 3rd, 2024, we had a report from the administration on the new Teacher Institute and Mentoring Program supports. Incredible work being done in order to really make sure that we have different series of really highly professional, high quality series for all levels of growth across our system. We looked at key principles of the induction program, the CFISD Mentor Handbook, the CFISD Leadership Institute series, the NTI New Teacher Institute, thank you, info flyer that's available, and then new teacher hire newsletter, and then parent to teacher newsletters, and a new hire newsletter. So really considering all the different groups that they get a welcome into the system and an onboarding onto the system. And some of the discussion at the committee was ways to enhance the parent to teacher pipeline. And our HR representative explained a partnership that's currently going on with the University of Grand Canyon University that has 46 participants in order to have that pipeline up for our very highly valued paraprofessionals. We discussed avenues for financial aid for paraprofessionals that may be interested in a teaching degree. We also reviewed the SWOT for those opportunities to see what other ideas have been generated. The marketing campaign about our noble profession, of purpose and meaning, and discussed and developing a structured teacher ambassador program. We discussed the student educator prep program, look for ways to expand opportunities for students to learn about pursuing a degree in teaching. We have a referral over to the governance committee to see if they would focus on the legislative action to change the TRS surcharge law so that we could maybe access retired teachers in our system without a large surcharge. And we discussed College Academy offering a pathway for an associate's in teaching leading to a bachelor's in education, partnering with the University of Houston, and also discussing with Sam Houston State University, and I think another one that Linda's working on, so that they're more accessible local bachelor's programs in education. We also looked at the teacher vacancy task force presentation in PowerPoint. Some items highlighted and discussed on that, and I'll open that separately. Actually, I'll go there now. Let me see if I can open. Give me one section. Teresa, can you help me with which one is titled, that document? Thank you, yes. So we have an entire study that we're still pursuing, and we're waiting on more data. But there is at the next meeting, our topic will be to review the capstone report of the teacher time study. We had, is that the one that had 1,093 teachers participate? Yes. Yes, there was a survey of 1,093 teachers that gave us incredible feedback about how we use time in the system, and so it gives different categories of teachers, and so that will be the future meeting topic. We also we did not hear, but will be the next meeting, the board monitoring system Goal 3 board report. We also looked at retirement and resignation data so far in the district, and we're going to have an update in August to see how that looked for this season, so we can understand what we can do to continue to attract and we have data. I thank the HR team for everyone who comes and goes. We have data from them to see what it is that made that decision happen. We also looked at the status of the excess staff in the system based upon our budget reductions, and we had only 3 yet to be placed, and I'm not sure if there's an update. We had an update on those who were unfortunately in those budget cuts. And finally, there was a status of the retention stipend bonus. We're looking to really, and the potential in the future when budget woes are less, hopefully be able to really look at how we draw and high-quality educators to our very most difficult or most remote or most challenging schools, so that we can make sure that we can maintain them there and that they are able to stay there and continue to get give an excellent service to the children at their schools. And that's the topics of the meeting, and we will be meeting again either late this month or in July.
May I ask a question? Natalie, you said several times that you're waiting for more data regarding the Hanover report and study done. The final report was emailed to the board on April 13th, so I'm unclear on what more data you're waiting for.
There's a capstone. Can you explain, Teresa?
The data that she's referencing, we convened a small group of teachers and campus principals to review the capstone report, and then just to kind of get their insights on maybe how we can address some of the key recommendations that Hanover recommended or pointed out in the report. So our next step is to obviously share that with the committee, but we first wanted the opportunity for Dr. Macias and then Christina to kind of go to principals, to curriculum coordinators, and start looking at some of those areas, specifically in the area of compliance documentation, in ways that we can be compliant with the law, but maybe ensure that we do not have additional steps and requirements in place. So it's that kind of work and information that we're still working on and want to bring back to the committee.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful, because that really goes to something a principal had asked me about, like, will there be an action plan from this committee in place by the start of the school year in August?
Absolutely, and that's important to us, that we take action after we solicited all of that feedback.
Great, thank you.
Any other committee updates?
Yes, I have one from the Finance and Operations Committee. So I just want to address some of the comments that I just heard about whether or not anything was done in the dark. So I want to speak to that directly regarding the Finance and Operations. I'll tell you exactly who was in every single meeting. It's the same people: myself, Justin, Julie, and then we have Karen, and then we have our Senior Manager Operations Leader, Matt. So, sorry, I'm so tired. Long night. And then occasionally, when we have to discuss IT, we have Paula. And I think that's it. And every now and then, Dr. Killian missed one meeting. He was there, the second one in this last month. And Teresa Hull usually shows up. So that's the attendance. Regarding the content that's discussed, every single presentation that this community has received regarding the budget is what we review initially, and the goal is that we would look at it as board members, and then we would ask questions so that the rest of the team can understand what questions do they think are coming from the rest of the board. No decisions are made in the finance subcommittee at all in any scenario. So, as an example, we heard from Matt the first time he mentioned the audit that we voted on tonight and that we will be conducting. And so myself, Julie, Justin, we asked questions. What is the audit? How does that work? What are we getting from that? Why is that valuable? Okay, Matt, make sure you bring up points 1, 2, 3 in open discussion. When we talked about the budget, the transportation, and the notion of zero-based budgeting, I made sure I brought it to Matt. Matt, make sure you talk about why zero-based budgeting is important. So the goal of the Finance and Operations Subcommittee is to give the rest of the administration a first pass at the board members to understand what questions might be coming so that they can better prepare for discussions with this entire board and have those answers already available. Last point, the second we convened, I made a comment to the entire team, the trustees, and all the administration. If one trustee is on an email, we're all on an email. So you can PIR to your heart's content. We're all, and that's fine. And all you're going to see in email is a copy of the presentation that you have all seen already, and maybe an earlier draft form that might have one or a few words different or a few slides different based upon feedback that we gave them. And other than that, we're scheduling when we're going to meet. So in open discussion, I'm asking a question. Do you guys disagree with anything that I said? Okay. I do not anticipate that we will be meeting before our August meeting, but if any of us expect that we do need to have a meeting, great, but I don't see a need to do it. Karen, Matt, do you guys see a reason to meet before August? Okay, so I don't expect to have a meeting for the rest of the summer.
Item 9B, recap of board member information requests.
Hold on, I had some I
Oh, I'm
wanted to
sorry.
say. Sorry.
Apologize.
For academic safety planning and vision, we have not had a meeting since the last board meeting, and so there is not an official update. I was sick and traveled out of town. We will be scheduling a meeting here soon, near the end of the month or at the beginning of July, and we'll have a report that we will share in August.
I do have a question for Christine. As chair of the Academic Safety and Vision Planning Committee, at any time or place did this committee work together on reviewing recommended instructional materials for science and CTE classes?
No, the only thing that I sent out was I sent out an email to the entire board to give everybody access for the login to review the books and encouraged everybody to look and review the books personally.
But as stated from the dais, this committee did not meet to review materials, correct? Thank you.
Thank you. I am a member of the ASVP committee and therefore felt responsible as an individual member of this board to read and look at curriculum items.
9B, we do have one speaker, Lisa Bucco.
Since this agenda item has been showing up, has anything been reported? I don't believe there has been. Why is that? I'm sure this group of people have been requesting information. Natalie just said on Thursday that she requested information about before she censored a textbook. We see you not being transparent. Why is this an agenda item if there is no intention of it being used? Or is this your attempt to silence a board member?
All right, we do have one more item that's going to be in closed session. At this time, I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight. May I get a motion, please, to move into closed session?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. We're now in closed session. We'll return in about 5 minutes for closed session while we set that up. Can I get a motion to move out of closed session? Oh, sorry.
I move that we come out of closed session.
Second.
All those in favor? We're now out of closed session. Make sure I get the right item number, apologize. Item 1A, the board will consider appeal of decision denying an interdistrict student request. This item was disclosed in closed session pursuant to 551.0821. May I please get a motion?
A motion that we uphold the position of the district. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't read the rest of it.
Uphold the decision of the district to appeal the decision, uphold the position to the inter-district student request. Is that enough? Clarify enough? May I get a second? To deny, I'm sorry.
Correct.
To deny the request. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Can you start over?
I move that we uphold the district's decision to deny the transfer request, the inter-district transfer request.
Right. May I get a second?
I second.
Any questions on this? Seeing none, may I get a vote, please? Signify by raising your right hand. It is unanimous. May I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? We are now adjourned.